Gibson, go ahead and start again, please.
Yeah, so again, we are calling this meeting at 6:21. We are just making sure that we all have board members. In an effort to do this, I am going to ask the outgoing secretary to help me take roll call, if that is okay with you.
I'm going to go ahead and before we start that, I'm going to go ahead and do procedures.
Go ahead.
All right. This meeting is open to the public via the web over the phone. Board members will only appear on the screen while all public attendees will be on audio. Everyone is normally muted except when given the floor to speak. All board members of the public may provide comment to the board on each agenda item. Excuse me? Somebody had a question? One moment, please. On agenda items during the general meeting, when an agenda item is up, the board president or Gibson, the presiding representative of Dunn, will ask for public comment on that item. Use of the computer controls will be to raise your hand and he will allow you to speak on that item. Also, if you're calling in to raise your hand, please go ahead and look and dial *9. Any other questions? This meeting is being recorded and will be posted to our website at a later time. We suggest you click the gallery view if you'd like to see the board members on the screen all at the same time. That basically looks like a checkered box. You can use the Q&A for questions, for any procedural questions or technical questions, but no questions about motions or board business will be answered during the meeting. Do we have any procedural questions before we start?
Becky, you have your hand up. You're still
Unmute
mute.
yourself.
Mute. I just wondered if we could start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of course.
By all means. Would you like to lead it?
Sure. I haven't rehearsed it though. Are we ready?
Go ahead. We'll be ready when you're ready.
Okay. Oh, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
Flag.
Can we say it all together?
Yes.
That would be great.
1, 2, 3. Everyone stand. Put your hand over your heart. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. I appreciate that. Thank you for leading on to us, Jason. If you would be kind enough to take roll
Sean?
call for us.
Can you grab the scissors from the right front drawer?
David Lasher, please mute yourself. Thank you.
I apologize. Thank you.
We have Miran in the attendees. Please, David,
Got him.
go ahead and.
Okay, I guess I'm doing roll call. David is
Here.
here. Christine?
No, we have to do board members, Jason,
Oh, okay.
once we're elected.
Here.
Okay, I updated it for the, okay.
Let's just go ahead and do a roll call of the new board members, and that's okay.
Okay, then.
Okay, Christine is here. Jason is here. Miran, there you are. Gabriel?
Here.
David Lasher is here.
Here.
Becky Levesque?
Here.
Luis?
Here.
Boss?
Here.
Welcome, everybody. We
Thank you.
have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And we have a quorum, correct?
6 is quorum.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. We are going to go into the next item, which is updates from representatives or elected officials. Council member, we definitely just want, we would like to give you the chance if you want to speak now, and then we'll be, after public comment, we'll be able to swear in the new board. Did you want to speak at this moment?
Right, thanks, Gibson. I appreciate it. Yeah, my staff member Colin Cruz is here. He'll have a little more updates with specific items that are more specific towards this neighborhood council and maybe some other general information of what our office has been doing out here in the field and also in City Hall. The one thing that I wanted to sort of update you guys on is 2 key votes that were taken before we went into recess. The first one being that we are now going to be able to start what are called the Care Plus cleanups again. As you guys all know, that this last year, the city has had to follow not only CDC guidelines, but other federal guidelines, state and county. And there are certain things that we were able to do in the past that we have not been able to do this past year. But starting, I believe, Colin can update if I'm wrong on the dates, but if everything moves swiftly through council, we think that these Care Plus cleanups are going to start up starting September 1st. We're very fortunate in that our HOPE team that deals with homeless issues for LAPD, they were being transferred out of our division, but we were able to keep them in Devonshire. So we have a dedicated HOPE team unit that is in our division. Very happy about that. Officer Knopp and Taylor have been just vital in trying to get the people who are unfortunately unhoused living on our streets into housing. Unlike what you hear a lot in city council, they are actually, by them going out all the time, have really built up relationships. And also through our Lunches with Love program, we've also built those relationships up so that as soon as we open up any type of housing, unlike other council offices, we've been able to get them filled up as quickly as possible. The second item is that you may have heard that Councilman Buscaino and I forced what's called a Rule 54, a very rare, unused rule to pull something out of a council member's committee. So we felt an item needed to be discussed, and we wanted to discuss before the break happened, and that was to vote on certain ordinances for us to enforce certain anti-camping laws and sidewalks. So while we all know that there needs to be a balance where we need to address the issues of the unhoused, but we also need to address the issues of businesses in our area and for the housed in our areas. What this is going to allow us to do is to actually be able to enforce areas around schools, around parks, around business entrances, around driveways for safety. The one that's most important to me is that any type of housing that we do, housing solution that we do open up in CD12, we're able to enforce 1,000 feet around that facility, because that was very important to me, because I've seen in other districts where they've opened up housing and all it did was attract more unhoused individuals around that place. And, that deters other communities to wanting to do that if it only makes the issue worse. If people are going to, if communities are going to be open to having this as part of the solution, they also should not have to deal with the unhoused living on the city streets in their area. So very happy that we were able to get that passed. And I think it's going to be a very important tool for us to use in our communities. And I look forward to, I'll talk a little bit more about the new board, but happy to see so many new faces and looking forward to working with all of you guys. And like I said, Colin Cruz, my director, my field director, is here to answer any other questions or provide you guys with additional information.
And thank you, Council Member David. Just in an effort to do follow-up, can we have Colin be allowed to speak or promote him to panelist, so we can just continue from the council member's office? I see Becky. Did you have a question?
No.
Okay, you have it. Mr. Lash, you had your hand raised up.
Sorry about that.
I have a question for Colin when he's available.
Colin, you are on the panelist. Go ahead.
Me or Colin?
Hey, everybody.
There you are.
Colin Cruz, District Director for Councilmember John Lee. Tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. Just a few quick things. A reminder that the San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission is holding their donation drive continuing through this month. You can drop off items at their location in Northridge at 8756 Canby, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. Also, we are continuing our Dinner on Us program, where we are providing gift cards from Los Toros Restaurant in Chatsworth to folks that are either in need or folks that have really kind of risen above and done, gone and above and beyond the call of duty during the pandemic. So if you know of anybody that could use a Dinner on Us, please let us know. You can email the council member's email at councilmember.lee@lacity.org, or you can email my colleague, Ron Rubine, at ron.rubine@lacity.org. Also, our Angel Fund programs are continuing. both our Small Business Angel Fund as well as our Angel Fund for individuals. And if anybody is, by now you're probably familiar with it, but just in case you're not, frequently folks can find themselves in a situation where they might be able to pay the rent, but they have one thing go wrong. Say something goes wrong with their car, for example, and they can't afford that car payment, that car repair payment. So what the Angel Fund is there for is to kind of swoop in and handle that one-time expense to keep people, so often a lot of folks that end up in homelessness, they end up there because of one sort of, catastrophic might be too strong a word, but if it's catastrophic enough that you can't pay your rent, then there you go. So that's what the Angel Fund for individuals is there for. And then, as I've mentioned before, our Angel Fund for small business is there for businesses that have been adversely affected by the pandemic. And then last but certainly not least, and this is for Mr. Lasher, we've looked into the parking signs up there on Reseda. And so when those were installed several years ago, that was at the request of LAPD. So they were put in with the restrictions only being Monday through Friday. However, we have reached out to Devonshire and we've asked them to reassess that. So we're expecting them to come back to us we have to have them make the request to change them to 7 days a week. So we're proceeding with that. You're gonna have to give us time. Everything with DOT takes a fair amount of time. But we checked on that for you and it's in the works.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Mr. Collin. I think, David, do we see any other staff members in the? Okay, you're on mute, David.
You're muted, Valen.
There we go. I think LAUSD is on board today. Let me bring her in. Tara, I'm going to go ahead and make you a panelist. Feel free to go ahead. Tara, did you want to give an update?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you, David. I can't quite figure out how to get my camera working, but I'll just go ahead and get started. My name is Tara Vidani, and I work for School Board member Scott Schmerlson. And I have a couple of updates to share with you all, mostly about what the fall will look like. So for those of you who have children in the school system, I really encourage you to participate in a town hall taking place tomorrow, July 15th, beginning at 5 p.m., where we're going to share the plans for fall, what the school year will look like, what your choices and options are. And if someone would like the Zoom link for that town hall, please feel free to ask for it in the Q&A, or I can also send the information to David to pass along to anyone who is interested. But essentially, we are offering full day in-person instruction for all grade levels. New in this kind of, as we emerge from the pandemic, I don't think we're quite post-pandemic, but as we emerge, we're also going to be offering free after school child supervision for students until 6 p.m. on weekdays, because we've heard from so many of our families that childcare is a big challenge for them. So we're trying our best to support with that. In California, for all students that are going to be participating in person, whether it's here in LA County or in the northern parts of the state, masks will be required for both students and staff indoors. This might change as the semester progresses, but at least for the beginning of the year, masking will be a requirement. There is an exemption process in place for students who can't wear a mask, for example, for medical reasons. And I really do encourage you to reach out to myself for more information about that if that pertains to your student. And then just to put out there that at this point in time, the COVID-19 vaccine is not mandatory for students or staff. In fact, a lot of our students aren't even eligible for it yet, but we're certainly providing avenues and pathways for those folks who want to be vaccinated to do so. One benefit of being vaccinated this fall is that you will no longer have to participate in the weekly testing, COVID-19 testing cadence if you're vaccinated. So that could be something to consider if you're if you don't like getting tested regularly. And then for if you've driven by Porter Ranch Community School recently, you might have noticed that there are students and staff there, and that's because PRCS is one of our summer school sites. They also offer grab and go meals every morning, every weekday morning from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. So if you yourself, or if you know families that need some extra support over the summer, please let them know that PRCS is right there. You get 2 meals per child under the age of 18, and there are no questions asked. So they don't need to verify, their income level. They can just come pick up the meals and go on with their day. And again, those times are 9:30 to 10:30 on weekdays. And then last but not least, it's bittersweet to share that Castle Bay's beloved principal, Dr. Gamboa Brooks, retired at the end of the school year. I know you all have recognized Dr. G in the past. She was a teacher, a mathematics coach, an assistant principal, and of course a principal at several of our LAUSD schools in her 21-year career with the district. So we were really sad to say goodbye to her. The application window for the new principal position closes next week, and I will certainly keep you updated once we learn who the new principal is. So with that, I would be happy to take questions if there are any, but I will send the town hall information to David regardless.
Gabriel, go ahead, please unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you, Tara, for being here. My question is for the vice principal for PRCS. Have you guys decided who's going to be the next vice principal?
We have. It is the current APEIS of Lawrence Middle School. Unfortunately, their name escapes me, but if someone could also ask that question in the Q&A, I'll look it up in my email really quickly. Yeah, but I'm happy to share that Mr. Guidry has gotten another position at Sutter Middle School, and I know he's looking forward to getting acquainted with that school community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. David Lash, you had a question?
I had a question for Colin.
Yes, sir.
Unrelated to the other issue, the question was on Rinaldi. We've added those great RV signs, no parking from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. There's one RV that's not moving at all. It's been there for weeks now. I think I know the answer, but we're not enforcing a 2 o'clock move or tow requirement.
Well, we can cite the vehicles, and we are citing them. Citations are not always the most effective form of enforcement with issues like this, but we are citing them. As things continue to loosen back up regarding all of the COVID restrictions we've been operating under, I can't give you a firm date. Eventually, impound will be an option again, but right now, if people are residing in the vehicle, we cannot impound.
I thought that we were still under that rule. I was afraid of that, but at least we have those new signs, and that is a useful tool. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, and David, the big thing for us in council is to try to end this emergency declaration, which would allow council to start enforcing some of the parking restrictions again. Right now, because of the pandemic, in order to get federal and state funding, we've had to, declare the state of emergency. That unfortunately gives the mayor a lot of executive power. And, so I don't know why the council refuses to move on that and to end this, but it's something I'm working on.
I appreciate that. I was afraid of that, and sign is one thing, but we can't enforce it for the other outstanding rule. I appreciate your explanation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And with that, I don't see any other staff.
Gibson?
Yes.
I know the name of the AP, if I could just quickly share it.
Go ahead.
That's great. Thank you. So the new AP is going to be Yvette Sawyer Diaz, and she is coming from Lawrence Middle School. So again, her name is Yvette Sawyer Diaz.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tara. I do not see any other staff members or LAPD or any city departments in the attendees. Jason, did you have your hand raised up?
I just want to make a quick shout out to the Urban Forestry, Scott Harmon, Ron Tull, for their help. We have a letter of appreciation on our agenda. And I also want to recognize Mirka and Matt Hernandez for getting down in the stream there and pulling out all the trash and getting down and dirty with us. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Ms. Levesque?
just an announcement. Senior Lead Officer Rick Gibby passed away about 6 to 8 weeks ago. His and he helped start Neighborhood Watch, Community Policing, VST, Solid, and actually neighborhood councils. His celebration is going to be this coming Sunday at the LAPD Police Academy. The community is invited. For information, go to rickgibby.com. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Levesque. We will be going to item number 5 for public comment on items not on the agenda and within the purview of the board. So stakeholders, please go ahead and use the raise hand feature. If you're calling in through your phone, it's *9. And with that, David, you will be helping me unmute the folks. Let's start with Patty. And you're on mute, Mr. Balin.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Patty.
I want to say that this Saturday, starting at noon, there's a rally and march at Kellogg Park in Ventura, and it's to protest SoCalGas's planned expansion at their compressor station that's located right across the street from an elementary school. So that's not good. And Food and Water Watch has asked for people from this area, because we're so familiar with SoCalGas, to go there and talk to the crowd and tell them how unsafe this facility is and be in solidarity. I was asked to talk about the health issues because I'm on the CAG, but unfortunately I have a broken bone in my foot, and I just re-aggravated it a few weeks ago going to my daughter's walk across the stage at UC Irvine. So proud mom, but in pain. But I hope that people will show up at Kellogg Park, and that's at 33 Kellogg Street in Ventura. Get out of the heat here. It'll be much cooler, and support these people, especially the poor kids who are living across the street from a hazardous place that was actually leaking last week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Patty. We will be going. Please unmute Brian Allen. Please go ahead, sir. Public comment.
Okay, thank you. This is Brian Allen. I am hoping to give 2 comments here. One is very short. I noticed that there isn't a budget advocate on the agenda today, so I just wanted to let everyone know in the council that the budget advocates are starting a new year. They have elected a new leadership, and I don't know if Gary Fordyce and Glenn Bailey are listening, but they are still budget advocates from Region 2, along with me, and Glenn is now a co-chair of the budget advocates. So one of your budget advocates is now in leadership of budget advocates. I think you will see some new information coming out of budget advocates in the near future, so stay tuned. On the other side of the coin, from the CAG, there is going to be a town hall. I believe it's tentatively scheduled for August 14th and 16th. There'll be 2 versions, and I would ask you to stay very in tune with that, because there is going to be some new announcements. There are some new developments that are going on with members of the CAG, and I think you'll be interested in that. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. We'll be going on to Saul Daniels. David, please unmute.
You're unmuted.
Okay.
Hi, it's Judith Daniels. I wanted to remind everybody that the Valley Alliance of Neighborhood Councils is meeting tomorrow night. It is not the usual meeting night, but we're meeting tomorrow, and there are 2 guest speakers. One of them is Mike Fuhrer, who is the current city attorney who's supposed to be speaking about the city attorney's office, but he's also a candidate for mayor. And also our school board member, Scott Schmirelson, is supposed to be giving some information about school police. And the meeting is at 6:30 on Zoom. If there's anybody that needs information about it, David Balin can tell you how to reach either me or Glenn Bailey for the Zoom link. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Please provide. Please also unmute mute everybody else. We have And then we have John and Michelle Hallis. Would you like to provide public comment?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. You can hear me okay?
Yes, we got you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We have, this is our 73rd Zoom meeting. We have been in a search for neighborhood councils for the Holy Grail, been Los Angeles as well as the Valley. And last week, while we were in a Zoom meeting for the Palms, we were present for a presentation in regards to a city council file that is being reviewed and acted upon. But I thought it was important enough that we share that with you. This is in regards to the Plum Committee, the city division. And what we have is the file number is 12-0460-S as in Sam 4. It's roughly 700 to 900 pages. What it does cover is the fact that they are reviewing and modifying their process that they go through. And in there, the intent is to remove, reduce, and or remove any input from neighborhood councils in regards to Plum Committee input. So we are concerned about that. Want to make sure we share that with everybody. Raquel Beltran is aware of it. She looked at it. She said she needs to go dive into it to review it. But we are sharing that with all of the neighborhood councils. This has a big impact on the neighborhood councils when you have projects that are in your area. If this process is voted on and it's passed, that means they won't be asking for input from the neighborhood councils. Thank you very much. And if
So we had one more stakeholder, Brandy Grace.
Thank you. Go ahead. Brandy, please go ahead. The stage is yours. And David, can you
What were
mute,
you whispering
can you mute
again?
everybody else?
Oh, Raquel. Am I unmuted?
Yes, Brandy, you go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to take a moment in public comment because I figured it would be registered as more sincere, which it is, to say publicly congratulations to all the new board members. I can put it Q&A there.
David, let's mute everybody else, David, sorry. And the public comment.
Oh, wait.
Oh, they're muted. I don't know who popped in, but I haven't unmuted anybody. This is on Brandy. Go ahead, Brandy.
Me. It's not me.
Can you make me co-host real quick, David?
Everybody's muted.
Okay.
One of the other attendees was unmuted for a moment. Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations to the new seated board members, and also to say thank you to Councilman Lee for coming tonight and doing the appropriate ceremonies. It's always nice to see when our electeds come in and speak to all of us. So that's my public comment. Thank you and congratulations to all.
Thank you very much. And with that, we are going to be going to the next item. This is where we will be swearing in the new board members. We have them in attendance. We have Christine Dermarchian, Gabriel, we have Becky Lebec, Louise Ramirez, and Bas Singh. And with that, council member, if you want to take lead, and I'll be screen sharing so board members can see the neighborhood council oath.
And they all can unmute themselves now.
Yes.
Thanks, Gibson. I appreciate that you're putting the words up because I never know how long to speak to actually have them follow. So I appreciate that. And first of all, before I say the oath, I want to say thank you to the members who served previously. Brandy, thank you for the kind words. I've really enjoyed working with you over the last few years. To those that have already been on neighborhood council and who are reelected, thank you for your continued service. And for those of you who are new, I want you to know how much I appreciate community service in our district. Being a volunteer for neighborhood council is not an easy job. It's something that you have to really care about your community to want to be a part of. And by just putting your name actually on a ballot means that you do care and that you want to try to make a change. And so I appreciate that. As some of you have already know, I've already talked to some of the new members. I haven't gotten out to all of you, and I apologize. It's probably because I can't find your numbers, or I can't get a hold of them. But please provide that to Colin so I can so we can talk offline. But we've had great conversations. I look forward to working with all of you, and especially as a board. I'm a very accessible person. For anybody who knows me or, over the years knows that they can reach me very easily. I'm guessing I'm looking at the board right now. A few of them already have my cell phone number. Becky, if you could stop giving that out, I'd appreciate it. I really love working with the neighborhood councils. As you guys know, I am the new chair of the Arts, Parks, Neighborhoods Committee. So I oversee things that happen regarding the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. So if there are any changes or things that you'd like me to bring up, please know you can always reach out to my office, and we will try to work together to try to resolve any type of issues or different procedures that you think maybe we can do a little bit better here in the city. So that being said, will all the re-elected and newly elected board members please raise your right hand and repeat the oath after me.
1 second, council member. Just David, can you give me screen sharing capability so I can put the screen up for everybody? I just want to make it easier for folks to just read it always makes things easier. Do you have the neighborhood do you have the neighborhood council oath with you, David? I wanted to screen share myself because I have it ready. Yeah, I have the digital one, so it's just easier for me to put the screen. Just let me screen share. It's just easier. Sorry, folks. Sorry, council member. Just 1 second.
Not a problem, Gibson.
David, you're Billen, you're on mute, Miss Billen.
No, I'm trying to get to the screen share here. It's not allowing me to let you share. One moment here.
Just you can make me close real quick, and then it would be,
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Done.
Okay.
You're in.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Does the whole board see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it illegible for everybody? I can make it.
No, it's perfect. You can see it. I can see it too.
There we go. Council member.
Okay. Thanks, Gibson. I appreciate you putting up the oath. If everyone can, the re-elected and newly elected board members, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I pledge to represent my neighborhood
I
pledge to represent my neighborhood
with dignity, integrity, and pride.
dignity, integrity, and pride.
I will encourage other points of view,
I will encourage other points of view,
even when they differ from my own.
even when they differ from my own.
I will respect, value, and consider everyone's opinion.
I will respect, value, and consider everyone's opinion.
I will find the good in my neighborhood, praise it, and promote it.
I will find the good in my neighborhood, praise it, and promote it.
To my neighbors and to neighbors throughout the city of Los Angeles,
To my
Neighbors and to the neighbors throughout the city of Los Angeles.
I pledge to do this to the best of my ability.
I pledge to do this to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, newly sworn in members of the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council class of 2021. Congratulations, you guys. And I appreciate you allowing me to join you to give this oath from my virtual office. I'm actually with the family right now on vacation, but this was important to me and I wanted to be here for this. So you guys, again, thank you so much. Please, when you look at the words of the oath that you just took, I think the one that really is most important to me is that we encourage other points of view, even when they differ from our own, and to respect, value, and consider everyone's opinion. Today, in today's world, it's too much screaming and yelling, and I think we all need to just start listening to each other and to find that common ground where we can agree and can work together on. So I look forward to working with this board and appreciate your volunteering here in the city of Los Angeles. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks,
John.
Councilman Lee.
Thank you, Councilmember. I appreciate. Thank you, Council staff. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate everybody. As we continue on with this agenda meeting this evening, we'll be going into item number 7, the election of a vacant board seat. David, did we receive any candidate applications?
We did. We had 4 of them. You know what? Let me just give me a second here. Go back here. You should be able. Let me see. We're here. 1 second here. Okay, give me a second here. I think all the board members should have gone through it already. There were 4 vacancies. They're up on the screen right now. Can you see it? Can we see them? Okay.
Yeah, we see you're showing that candidate application form.
Well, one moment. So we have 4 of them, and we have people that are all 4 people that are here, which would be one moment. Arpin, should I come in? You know what? Let me bring them in.
Yeah.
1 second here, because we will see who's here. I do know that Jennifer's here. I saw Arpin is here. 1 moment here. Okay. Arpin, I'm going to go ahead and bring you in. As a panelist. Jennifer, she's here. I'll bring her in as panelist. We had Brandy's here. 1 moment, Brandy. Okay, and we had one other person. Let me just see where his name is Alan, and I do not see Alan here at all.
Which is fine. So we have, as you mentioned, we have 4 candidates, right?
We have 4 candidates, and I could read his candidate statement if you'd like. It's up to you.
No, that's fine. I just want us to list the 4 candidates in this evening who would like to join this fantastic board.
Okay, I brought the 3 in. I do not see the other gentleman, Alan.
That's not a problem. So for stakeholders, the 3 candidates are Brandy Gracie, Arpen. If I mess up your last anybody's name today, please correct me. I don't take that to offense. I just want to be respectful of pronunciation.
It's Grace.
Fantastic. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
And then we have Arpen, and then who was the 3rd candidate again? David?
We have Arpen, then we have Jennifer.
Oh, there we go.
Jennifer Ibrahim.
Fantastic. And so for that one, did we, who are the 3 candidates who'd like to begin as a quick introduction of who they are? I'll start with Brandy. Grace?
Hello, everyone. Most of you know me. A few of the new board members don't. I've been on the neighborhood council for a couple of years now, and I've been chairing the homelessness committee. Prior to that, I chaired the outreach committee. I've been one of the people who's definitely a workhorse of the committee. Up until this year, I usually went out to the cleanups and the events and everything else, prior to COVID. Yeah, I've just been one of the very involved members of the board who's done a lot of work, and I'm looking forward to, one way or another, continuing to do the hard work of fighting for the community with Aliso Canyon, fighting to help fix the homelessness crisis, and fighting to just continue making our great community better. Thanks.
Thank you, Grace. The next person we're going to go to, we said Jennifer, correct? David, we said?
Yes, yes, Jennifer.
Did you want to go ahead, Jennifer? Did you want to do a candidate introduction?
Okay, you guys can hear me. Okay, correct?
Yes, we got you.
Okay, great. So my name is Jennifer, and I'm applying for the vacant spot. I've been a resident in Porter Ranch for about 7 years. I'm also a healthcare professional and a new mom. And I definitely see things in a different light after becoming a new mother. I really want to get involved with the neighborhood council so that I can, give my time into something that I can see is worth it. And I want to see our community flourish. And in particular, I really want to focus on our senior community. I feel like as a pharmacist, I can see how they are usually neglected. And so I'd like to start like a social wellness program for them. I'd also like to advocate for free healthcare screenings around the neighborhood, which I could definitely set up with some schools that I know. And just kind of some nice programs that we can all join together and get to know one another. And, in order for everyone to have a friend and to just be social. So yeah, that's all.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jennifer. Arpan, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. If it's easier for everyone, I also go by Amy. So please feel free to call me Amy. I am an emergency management specialist. I've been in the field of emergency management about 10 years now. I am actually a resident of Porter Ranch a little over 2 years. And Jennifer, I'm just going to steal a little bit of your thunder and say I am to be a soon-to-be mom. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And actually, just like you, and I think similar to everyone here, my passion for my community has increased. It's always been there, but it's increased. And taking my experience from my career, I want to shift my experience and knowledge and serve my community. I've been part of federally declared disasters, state declared disasters, locally declared disasters, proclamations, you name it, this is my world. So I really want to bring that knowledge, experience, and my network to Porter Ranch and be able to provide provide programs that make our community much more resilient. I mean, we've all seen through the pandemic how necessary that is, especially for our local businesses. I am a specialist in business continuity, so I've been part of many recovery efforts in helping local businesses, get back to their new normal along with our community. So, I mean, it's a passion of mine, and I want to bring it to the neighborhood council and help many programs grow. Everything from our emergency preparedness program, CERT. I've worked with different agencies to translate it into various different languages, to Spanish to Armenian. So I hope to continue that for the community. Recovery programs to help local businesses, including public assistance and independent assistance programs for our community members. And just mitigation projects as needed. So very passionate in that area, very passionate for my community. Our families are living here. My kids will be growing up here. So anything that I can do to build a community, support the community, and make it more resilient is my new career. So hopefully I get the opportunity to be a part of this great team and make Porter Ranch even greater.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Arpan. I am going to be opening up. We're going to be opening it up to the board for Q&A. David, if you don't mind unsharing your screen so we can just have folks have a quick discussion for this one. So if board members had any questions for any of your candidates, please go ahead and do so. I see David, go ahead.
So I have this is a major question for all three candidates. Being on the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council takes time, and it's a commitment, and I really want to stress this because people get onto the council and they always find time not to participate. I mean, it's great to come to a meeting, but we have a lot of things that go on outside outside. So my question is, how much time are you willing to give to the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council? Thank you.
Who would like to go? Ms. Arpan, would you like to go first?
Yes, absolutely. So part of being an emergency manager is participating in programs or committees such as neighborhood council. So for me, much like my other board commitments, I have a lot of I wouldn't say full-time ability, but definitely I've evaluated my capability of committing to the council, which is why I chose to apply. And I'm very comfortable in saying that I'm pretty much going to say, let's say part-time status, if not a little bit more. I'm fully capable in committing to the council. It's actually part of what I do, my day in, day out job as an emergency manager. So being able to volunteer it's part of the agenda. It's part of my, my scheduling. So yes, I feel very comfortable in being able to commit not only to meetings, but of course to other projects or in-person meetings, conducting different programs within the community.
Grace, did you want to go next?
So just to clear up, Brandy, call me Brandy, but when you said my name, you said Brandy Gracie, so it's Brandy Grace. I was just correcting the pronunciation, not saying, so just call me Brandy. I'm
Okay,
Brandy.
Brandy, go ahead.
Brandy with 2 eyes. Yeah, I mean, this isn't the first time I've been on a neighborhood council even. I was on the Harbor City Neighborhood Council beforehand, so I am very, very well aware of the time commitment that has been required, not only in general for neighborhood councils, but specifically to this one. And I wouldn't come back if I didn't know I could make that commitment. I think it's wonderful that all 3 candidates are moms or about to be moms. So, we're all going to be the best at time management because everybody knows that a mom has to get it done. We have kids. We don't have time to mess around with that. So, and so I know how to balance the family, the work, and the community commitment that this requires because I've been doing it. And it is a lot of work. We've already this year voted somebody in only to have them turn around and leave because they couldn't handle the workload. So with me, that is not going to happen because I already know what I'm getting myself into again.
Thank you, Brandy. We will be, Jennifer, did you want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you. So I'm actually pretty lucky in the sense that I have an amazing support system at home to help me with my son. So I'm actually available full time if you guys need it. So yeah, I have no problem dedicating as much time as you need, for the board. So. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Jason, did you have a question?
I have kind of a comment, but I concur, and it's nice to see working moms, want to join our board. So I'm very pleased to see that. And it's very hard to decide who to vote for, but I just want to remind you guys that we do have an open seat coming up. So if you're not elected, please, please, please reapply for the open seat because we have another vacancy. It's just, we're not filling it at this meeting. That's all, but thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members have any questions for the candidates? Mr. Lasher, please go ahead.
Without obviously stating where you live, I have a question for the candidates in terms of, do you live in one of our gated communities or in one of the older sections of Porter Ranch?
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Jennifer, start.
Okay, I do not live in a gated community. I am up Reseda, so the older houses.
I am actually in a gated community in the near the new construction area up Mason. So,
Brandy.
Sorry, I was thinking to unmute. I'm in gated. I am right next to the Y, so I really care about the Y too.
Thank you.
Any other board members? Give me 1 second, Mr. Billion. Any other board members have any questions? Yes, Mr. Billion, did you want to go ahead?
Well, I figure we might as well keep them. We need to learn about the candidates. So my question to the candidates are, what is your passion? And what do you feel that how you will benefit being on the board? Thank you.
Jennifer.
Yes. So my passion, well, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I have a degree in gerontology and biology from USC. So gerontology is the study of aging. So I've always had an interest in our elderly community. And when I became a pharmacist, I actually specialized in geriatric care. So I would love to do some programs for our senior community in Porter Ranch, and, you know, lunches or like coffees, I don't know, coffee dates, stuff at the park. I really feel that being social as you get older is extremely important to mental health. And that's something I can bring to the table. I'm very knowledgeable in that sense. And so that's something that I'd like to see in our community a little bit, you know, just so that everyone can get to know each other. And of course, if someone's by themselves, you know, they can expand, you know, their acquaintances around the neighborhood. So that's something that I'm very passionate about.
Ms. Arpin, did you want to go next?
Absolutely. So really quickly, a little bit to understand how I became who I became, where the passion came from. Started off as a lifeguard and became a paramedic at 21. So I've always had this passion of helping individuals and putting, I would say, you know, myself in the front lines. You know, as I got older and I started learning a little bit more about our response world, I really understood there's a secondary world here in emergency management, and it's building the resiliency within your community. So for me, currently, you know, my passion is the preparedness when it comes to your community. I've learned through my career and experiences and activations, you know, when you build a community, when you help a community become resilient and build in their preparedness, what you're actually doing is giving that community a lifeline and surviving any kind of disaster. And I think we've all seen the necessity, especially during this pandemic. A lot of our businesses, local businesses, you know, not taking the time or having the opportunity and access to programs to help them be prepared, you know, really have a heavy impact. So my passion really does come down to emergency preparedness, in all areas of emergency preparedness. It's not just CERT, which is Community Emergency Response Team, but it's also business continuity programs, offering that to our local, you know, businesses for free. For example, setting a night where they can come in and I can go through how to develop these plans, you know, and how do you access local grants, or how do you access SBA loans? So I've worked all that. So being able to offer that to my community at the end of the day builds that resilience. And when we do face a disruptive event or an incident, you know, I know my community is ready. And that actually alleviates a lot of the pressure off of our local response agencies, from our local city Office of Emergency Management to LAPD to LA, you know, Fire Department, Los Angeles Fire Department. And ultimately that trickles down in supporting other communities within the city as well. So for me, ultimately, it's taking what I know and helping my community be more resilient and be prepared and saving lives.
Thank you very much. Ms. Brandy?
I'm a nerd, so I actually enjoy research, and I'm very passionate about good policy. This is why I've been doing what I've been doing in politics and local community. I actually enjoy getting into the nitty gritty. I'm perfectly happy spending an hour digging into whatever obscure tax issue we might need to be looking at, or if there's a wonky thing going on with land use policy, I'm perfectly happy to spend an hour looking into zoning issues and to have a full and complete understanding, and as much as possible come to the board with a really deep understanding of the issue that's in front of us and be able to ask important questions to find alternate funding sources, or to come up with solutions like the mosquito dunks thing that I came up with. You know, just trying to find novel and effective solutions to the problems that face our community. From my background, I've started and run a successful small business. I've been a union leader, and I teach college. And where I teach, I teach specifically how to design fair systems. I work in game design, and that encompasses everything from basic systems designs and basic policy to economics, because you're making up a world. It's virtual, but it's a world, and it has to function, and it has to be fair for all the participants. So I live and breathe in good policy, and that's why I like doing neighborhood councils, because we are where the rubber hits the road, that we give our feedback to the council, and we push for what the community members really need.
Thank you very much. Jason, Jason Hector, did you have a question? Go ahead, Jason.
I formulated a question. So part of what neighborhood councils do is advocacy with city departments, and also we do improvement projects within the community. And that's particularly the thing that I'm interested in, but I'd like to hear from the candidates what interests you in terms of city departments, different advocacy on issues within the city, whether it be recs and parks or homeless services. What are your ideas, or what types of projects would you like to see here in Porter Ranch, or what type of impact would you like to see on city departments and city services within Porter Ranch?
Randy, did you want to go first?
Absolutely. Well, I will definitely be continuing either through committee or as a board member, the mosquito abatement program that I got passed at the last meeting. So I care about that as far as a community improvement project. I've always admired the work that you've done and supported it, but my passion is more focused on things like the homelessness situation. It's going to get worse. It's just getting worse. And the problem is that we tend to focus on that like it's an either or situation, when it's actually more of a yes and situation. No one from any side of any issue really wants people living in tents. No one wants anyone living in squalor or unsanitary conditions. Not the homeless, not the residents, not the small business owners, not the advocates, not LAPD, not the government. Nobody wants that. We need to ensure a safe living environment for literally everyone, from the community members to the unhoused. And that is a tall order that is getting harder, and COVID has made it exponentially harder. There are things that we're doing, but we have to do them faster, and we have to do them better. I've said many times in these meetings that our current system for even just reporting when we find somebody who's unhoused is completely inadequate. It's terrible. It's nowhere near the level of what it needs to be. There's so many runarounds that we've had trying to help even a single person in a dire circumstance. So that is definitely my passion. But I also enjoy interfacing with all the other departments, and I like making friends. So you heard Councilman Lee say something very nice about working with me, despite the fact that we have been politically opposed the entire time we've known each other. I'm perfectly happy to work with everybody. And I have worked with people who are completely on the right and completely on the left, and gotten them to even support things that I've done, because I'm willing to listen to everybody else and integrate what people want. And that, I think, is the thing that I'm even more interested in, is just getting everybody on the same page, so together we can come together and solve the problems that we have. That was a little roundabout, but yeah.
Ms. Arpin, did you want to go next?
No, absolutely. Similarly to that, I'm going to say, Brandy, for me, I've seen the emergency side of the situation, especially when it comes to homelessness in Los Angeles, actually even throughout the state of California. I've during my career, part of being an emergency manager is actually learning to interface and work with different departments within the city. And so I've become very comfortable in understanding that relationship and building those relationships. But for me, really understanding two parts is not only is there an issue when it comes to community and community members, but there's also the other side of it is our local businesses. So for me, I would say definitely working with departments in creating robust programs to not only address resources and programs and resiliency for community members, but also a homeless situation, because you're correct, Randy, it's not a if, it's and. It is happening. It's going to get worse. And especially during a disaster, we can improve on the different programs and resources that we have and procedures and processes we have in place to help address that specific issue at hand. And at the same time, I truly believe, I think the pandemic has really shown us how much more we can do for our local businesses. I mean, local businesses are what really drive those communities. It's not big, companies. So I think there's a lot more we can do in working with departments from OEM, to our local economic development departments to really create programs for our local businesses to support them and really give them the tools they need to be able to survive during and after an incident.
Jennifer, did you want to go ahead?
Yes. So I'm very passionate about the education system. I have some experience with giving some public talks about, anywhere from saying no to drugs, the DARE program, and as well as I would go to elementary schools and talk about, the dangers of energy drinks and the importance of vitamins. And, so I did help a lot of the schools around Woodland Hills, Calabasas area. And I would also give talks in Los Angeles to a couple of the schools there about drug usage and the effects that it would have. I'm also an advocate for immunizing children and adults. So I actually implemented a program at my job where we would do mobile clinics and go to assisted living facilities and vaccinate all the patients that were there. So that was something that was pretty neat, and they still do it till now. And I would love to do something like that here. Going off of what Brandy mentioned for the homeless that are around the valley, I would also love to help get them immunized too. I mean, it's definitely much needed. And I feel that a lot of them are probably not immunized, and it'd be beneficial for our community too, since they're here. And yeah, I think those are the key points that I'm very passionate about.
Thank you very much. We're just going to go in real quick before board vote. We are going to go to public comment. So if any members of the public would like to provide a public comment here, I will be unmuting you. Patty, go ahead.
Okay, I think many of you will know what I'm going to be asking about, but this community was ground zero for the biggest gas disaster in US history. And I've been very involved. I know that Brandy has been involved, and she has studied climate change, as we were both at Al Gore's training in 2018. But I want to know, what do all three of you really know about Lisa, about the health and safety issues? Because I believe, I think many of us do believe, is still a crisis, is a health crisis, it's a safety problem with earthquakes. And I just want to know, what have you actually done to help in getting this place closed down? Thank you.
Who would like to go first for that question? I'll choose Brandy. Did you want to go first?
Sure. Since I was name checked, it makes sense. Yeah, as you know, I've worked very hard. I worked with Susan Gorman Chang to try to help with the fence line monitoring system. I'm an alternate, or have been an alternate, for CAG, and I've stayed connected with and supported CAG as much as possible. I've gone with Food and Water Watch. I've gone to Safe Porter Ranch meetings. I'm working just as hard, because I agree this is an absolute necessity that we get Aliso Canyon shut down, and that we do it properly. That means that there has to be funding allocated for worker retraining, so that the people who are employed there aren't just suddenly dumped with nothing, because they've been suffering too. It means It means ensuring a safe shutdown so that things aren't suddenly dumped into our community. And it means an immediate shutdown. We cannot keep waiting and putting this off. And it means that requires us to put more effort and more funding into renewables and figuring out how we are going to quickly, safely, and effectively start changing out our community's building projects and housing so that it can support something other than natural gas, because that's not where our future is going to be. So yeah, I mean, I have been an advocate. I've gone to the marches. I've spoken on behalf of this many times. I've pushed legislation at the state. This is a passion of mine because I believe this is absolutely necessary for the safety of our community to get rid of this. But I think we need to do it in a way that understands we can't shut it down tomorrow with no consequences, but we can shut it down right away if we do all the things that are necessary and make sure that our community is taken care of from left to right, from A to Z. So.
Thank you. Ms. Arpin, did you want to go next?
Yes, absolutely. So when it comes to Aliso Canyon, for me, I've actually worked on the state side in understanding the incident and being part of the after action report and the lessons learned from that. So for me, it's really understanding the public-private partnership and how that relationship worked. I was not locally working here during that time, otherwise I would have been part of the response, but I have been part of numerous other responses. Most recent was an oil spill up at Santa Barbara County a few years ago, but nonetheless, it really taught me that public partnership. And when it comes to Aliso Canyon, I agree with Brandy. I think there's a sustainability question here that we have to be able to answer, but we have to answer it appropriately. And taking a look at some of the lessons learned, I mean, there's a lot of improvement areas from that I think have not been met yet. And I think that there's an opportunity to engage, those agencies and those partnerships in making some actionable items come forward with that. I could tell you, these sort of events with climate change happening, I mean, it's one of those things where in our field, it's not if, it's definitely a when, unfortunately. And I think Aliso Canyon is one of those incidents where we can take the lesson learned and apply it into, in making a more resilient and having a better approach in the future, I would say, to similar incidents and ensuring that it doesn't happen again. But I think there's still a lot more work to be done. I think that it definitely is going to take a lot of work and a lot of commitment in understanding the sustainability needs with that and being able to be committed to making those changes, and also making those changes within our community when it comes to the mindset and understanding of what needs to happen. I think the other part is also the educational piece to this. I think being able to outreach with our community and get them to provide them the information necessary to really understand the impacts and how those impacts affect them and how those long-term impacts are going to affect them and their families, I think is a key here, because I've done that throughout the state of California. And I think one of the biggest benefits is when you inform your community and keep them informed, it really benefits the areas of improvement to come in the future and making change.
Jennifer, did you want to go ahead?
Yes. So yes, I haven't done anything to help with the shutdown of Aliso Canyon. However, I have followed the SAG meetings, and my husband and I have been following it since it happened. I'm concerned from a medical standpoint for the long-term effects that will happen, all the methane and ethane that were released into the air that we're not seeing effects of now. I'm really concerned of our children and our family and everyone that lives in the city. What will happen years later? I know for myself, I suffered from headaches during that time, and months afterwards. And nosebleeds as well. And my husband and I experienced the same exact thing, even though it was deemed that it was safe to come back to our home. But, you know, that's concerning to us. What else is, you know, what else is in the air that we are inhaling, that our children are inhaling, that we won't find out till later, the aftermath till later. So in a medical standpoint, I am very concerned with the future. I'd love to see Aliso Canyon shut down permanently. And that's why I really wanted to join Neighborhood Council too, because I really want a hand in you know, being, you know, included in shutting that down permanently. So.
Thank you very much. We will be going to Helen. Did you want to provide public comment?
Yes, please. My name is Helen Ataya. I'm a resident of Granada Hills. My question is not to Brandy, because I know she's been involved. I know what she knows. I know what she's done, and I appreciate her. My question is to other ladies who are new to me. I'd like to know how much they know about Aliso Canyon, and they think it's over with, because one was saying that this wouldn't happen again, and I felt like she meant it's all over while we are still suffering. And why is it that we haven't seen them in any of the rallies, meetings, the council, the neighborhood council meetings, nowhere before, when we were all rallying and trying to shut this place down? And what are they going to do about it? Thank you.
Okay, did anybody want to go first and give a quick, brief response to that question?
Sure. I'll so I think what I was referring to, I believe that was me about it happening again. What I mean by that is, you know, from what I understand about Aliso Canyon, the facility in itself, it's not shut down. What it is basically, it's a, how do I say this? It's a Christmas type tool that they've used to plug up the holes and not letting any more gas release. However, that being said, you know, there's still a potential for future incidents to occur. If we have a very severe earthquake and it shifts, we may have a similar incident. And so what we have to do is be a little more proactive in taking these lessons learned from this incident and being able to apply and use that to understand what we can do to mitigate, or what we have to do is shut down the facility. But how do we approach that? And I think taking the lessons learned, which is what we learned from this incident, and utilizing that as a community, sharing that as a community, and being a little bit more informed in our approach on how we're going to shut the facility down, and what the risk is. Sometimes there is a risk analysis that you take a look at this and it's like, well, what's the comparison here? We take the risk of waiting for that big, you know, San Andreas Fault earthquake to occur, and we have a bigger incident on hand that is going to take much longer to actually plug up, because that's all they really did is they plugged it. They really didn't do anything else. Or are we going to take a little bit more of an aggressive approach and just shut the facility down? I wish I could have been at the marches. I really do. Unfortunately, at that time, with the work schedule I had, I actually was out of LA County and working for the state, Cal OES. So I actually was responding to numerous incidents throughout the state. So I unfortunately was unable to participate. At the time, actually, my parents still were in Granada Hills. So I know that even as far as Granada Hills, they were having effects. Actually, I took them out and I placed them into a hotel. They called it a mini vacation on me. But, I sent them out, but they suffered severely with headaches and nosebleeds, just like many of you are aware. So for me, it's really taking the lessons learned, taking the experiences, informing, empowering the community, and working together to make those changes. And as an emergency manager, I can tell you, incidents like this, with our climate changing, the world changing, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So with that, knowing that, I'm I'm much more committed in trying to make this shutdown happen for this community, but not just Porter Ranch. You know, we have to think about our surrounding communities. So it will, you know, the benefit goes all around. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Jennifer, did you want to go next?
Yes, I just wanted to explain why I wasn't at the rallies. So during the time when we were relocated, I had to relocate for work as well. So I actually had to work in Sacramento, which I thought was like a great idea since I didn't know how long this would last. So I signed a contract for a couple of months and we moved there for a little bit. And then I came back down after the contract was over. But I agree with Arpin and Brandy. I feel that it has to be permanently shut down. I think what they did was just put a Band-Aid on it, but I hate that Porter Ranch is referred to as, oh, the gas leak city. Anywhere I go, if I tell anybody that I live in Porter Ranch, it's, oh, the gas leak city. So we can't afford to have another situation occur like this. So permanently shutting down the facility would just be the best bet. I don't think, you know, we want to risk our health and our lives really for a potential incident that might occur. I think we just need to, you know, shut it down permanently and that's it, and move on with it.
Randy, go ahead. You're on mute. You're still on mute.
Okay. I know this wasn't aimed at me, but what I'd like to add is a lot of people here know the public-facing things I've done, but not the behind-the-scenes private things that I've done, including going and speaking to the heads of unions to try to smooth over and deal with the workers' issues to ensure that we wouldn't get any political pushback on Aliso being shut down from that side. And I've actually gone and spoken with representatives from the Energy Trade Council for California that works with SoCal Gas and all these other groups, and even gotten politically smoothed over with them because they have both the unions and the Trade Council just want more energy stuff. So by talking to them about ways that we can incorporate and bring in more renewable, safe energy sources, making it more politically viable for them to support us in shutting down and removing Aliso Canyon. So I've also done things behind the scenes as well as in front.
Thank you. Lori, did you want to provide public comment?
Yes, thank you. You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, candidates. Not to be a broken record, but I'd also like to ask a question about Aliso Canyon. I know all the work that Brandy has done in terms of getting the facility shut down and trying to make our neighborhoods safer. And I was a little dismayed and shocked that Jennifer and Arfin didn't bring it up themselves, because to me, that is the most important issue in our community. In terms of emergency management and preparedness and response, there is no response or system to inform the community if another blowout should happen. I know that personally because I was very concerned during the 2 Ridgecrest earthquakes and contacted the past president of the neighborhood council as to whether he knew if we would be informed if there were leaks or anything. And we kept going outside to see if we could smell gas, but left our home for a little bit to make sure it was safe. So my question to the candidates is, what would you do in terms of assuring that our community is prepared and has a response set up for earthquakes or future leaks? And how will, if we needed to immediately evacuate, how would you assure that the community would be informed of that? Thank you.
I think I'll jump on that one first, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. So to answer your question, and I know there's a few there. So when it comes to first and foremost notifications, we do fall in LA City's emergency notification system. If you are not receiving emergency notifications, that's something we can work through the council to make sure we can get you signed up, make sure that you're in the system. And what that means is that once there's an emergency notification pushed out, you should get a text message, a call, and so forth to notify you of an emergency. Now, specifically, that goes through LA City's Office of Emergency Management. They oversee that system, and it's their ReadyNet, their alert system that they have. As far as it comes to Aliso Canyon and getting emergency notifications out, that's something that we can work with the city in putting parameters and possibly creating groups. And I'm not too sure, again, what the policy is to work with OEM. I'm sure that we can, and I'm sure they're willing to work with Porter Ranch in possibly having some sort of a subgroup to that, but that's something that we would have to look into and work with them to see if that's within city policy to do so. But when it comes to emergency preparedness and response, we can also work with Aliso Canyon and the private company in having, and I know we have fences around to kind of help alert of any kind of leaks, possibly. Understanding what those alerts are capable of will be the first step, and then understanding what the triggers are for those. So once we identify those measures, and after an earthquake, of course, that's one of the assessments that would be conducted to see if there is a leak. And if there is a leak, to what degree is the leak, and being able to notify the public in the area for an evacuation. When it comes to evacuation procedures, more than happy to work with the council to work with the community members to develop neighborhood evacuation plans. I have done that actually for my parents in Granada Hills. Their neighborhood has a full evacuation plan that I'm more than happy to work with community members here in Porter Ranch to develop that, so we can have a plan in place that if you are to get a notification, and we're activating our evacuation plan, we can go ahead and do so. Now, keeping in mind, evacuation orders do go out from the city based on obviously the incident and the affected area. But of course, having self-evacuation plans in place is completely up to each individual, of course, depending on the incident. Sometimes it's better to stay put if it's safe to do so, than it is to evacuate and get on the streets and impede emergency response vehicles trying to get through. So there's various different programs that we can do and work together to develop for the community members. Various programs we can do to work with the company and the private company with Aliso Canyon to develop triggers. And again, ultimately, it comes down to working together in developing triggers and understanding what those thresholds are, working with the City Office of Emergency Management to develop a more robust emergency notification system, which will include specific members within Porter Ranch. So there's a lot we can do and a lot we will do. There's no question about that. But it all starts again as just coming together and really understanding what our gaps are, what our needs are, and being able to fill those. So when it comes to Aliso Canyon and the earthquake, really, first and foremost, I'll tell you the first impact is going to be from the earthquake in itself. And then the secondary impacts will come from any sort of damage that may have been caused, but that's where the triggers we can build in to understand if there's new leaks and be able to notify residents in the area that we have a leak or a potential leak and what that status is.
Thank you. Brandy, did you want to go ahead?
Yes, of course, prevention is the absolute best thing that you can ever do. And that means shutting down Aliso Canyon as quickly and effectively as possible. That said, we have learned from previous evacuations, both from Aliso Canyon and from recent fires, which, I mean, I was just as terrified when I saw the flames coming at us years ago that, oh God, it's going to hit Aliso Canyon and there's going to be an actual explosion this time because it's going to catch fire or something. I mean, we have lots of different natural disasters that can occur in this area that could be really, really bad if they come anywhere near some of the stuff in Aliso Canyon. And we've learned from those. I've worked with our community's disaster preparedness fair group, and there are other things that we learned, such as developing phone trees, better use of social media, because in the event of an evacuation, people need to be able to have a lot of information available to them so that when they're ready, when they need, not just notification that there's an evacuation, but everything after, from when is it safe to go back, to did I lose my home, to is my family safe, to all of the different myriad of things that come up. And neighborhood councils need to be a go-to, because this is kind of the point of neighborhood councils. We have, to put in perspective, the LA City Council has as many people that they oversee as our entire federal government did when we started the US government. So our entire federal government system was built to handle Los Angeles. And so the city council cannot, by scale, by scope, act like a normal city council. That's why we have neighborhood councils, because we're the ones that are at the ground level dealing with our local community. We're the ones who can actually call the gates at the different HOAs, or heads of the different gated communities, or heads of HOAs, and have lists that they could have of people to call to say, hey, the evacuation's coming up, for those who don't get the cell phone information for whatever reason. We can actually call our neighbors because we know this person is elderly and doesn't have a great cell phone. This person doesn't have a landline and their cell phone reception sucks because we're in Porter Ranch. We can work, as I have with LAFD and LAPD locally, to make sure we have these relationships and make sure that we know what they need from us, so that we can be points of contact if they need. And many of our neighborhood council members worked during the last evacuation to help ensure people had all the information they needed and got evacuated. I was paying attention and made sure that everyone in my direct gated community were informed as fast as possible. Hey, there's fire coming for us. We're not in the evacuation zone yet, but it's the street above us. We should start getting ready. So on top of this, especially now that our councilman is in charge, I want to start pushing for Dunn to help provide us with better tech, so that we can make sure that the information gets to people faster and better, so that we're not dealing with, YouTube or Facebook algorithms, but rather dealing more directly with people. And that kind of stuff we can do on the ground. Phone trees we can do on the ground. Going through CERT we can do ourselves, making sure that all of us have the ability to perform CPR if necessary. And we've tried to set up classes, which we couldn't because COVID, things like that. Those are the things that we can do. Those are the things that we have done, and we are going to keep getting better because we learned from it in our previous experience. But best thing we can do, shut it down and make sure we get rid of that disaster before it starts.
Thank you. Jennifer, did you want to go ahead?
Yes, so I know that Arpin and Brandy really touched on every point, really. First and foremost, I'm all for shutting it down permanently. In terms of the gas leak, we were new residents at the time when it happened, really. So we weren't made aware of the gas leak until after we smelled it for a while. So that to me was really worrisome. We didn't really know where to relocate. We didn't have any access to any resources. I had to text people that I knew that lived in the area, like, hey, what are you doing? We've never been in this situation before. And then I was told through some sources like, oh no, call your insurance company and they'll set up a hotel for you. I had no idea. We were like chickens with our heads cut off during that time. And the same thing with the fires. When I see the fire in my backyard, it's a little too late at that point. That's our cue to leave. So I would love for some sort of emergency notification system that could, reach all of us through maybe, I'm not really sure, but how about social media? Like a social media platform. Nextdoor is a really good tool and a source. Nextdoor does tie me to the community a lot more and lets me know what's going on. I really love Nextdoor to be honest. And with the gated communities, getting HOA involved is huge. It's actually easier getting the gated communities more involved because HOA is a huge part in those communities and they can reach everybody, okay? But I don't live in a gated community, so we're like kind of out there on our own. But I would love to work with the city, and if we can implement maybe classes to prepare for disasters such as earthquakes, fires, a gas leak, that would be great. And of course, to get as many people CPR certified is actually amazing. To be CPR certified, I am CPR certified, and my husband is CPR certified. He has, he's not in the medical field, but I told him, if we're having a baby, you need to know how to do CPR, like please, in case I'm not there. So, education is key. And, if we as council can implement classes around the community for preparing during, natural disasters or, earthquakes, floods, gas leaks, that would be probably the most beneficial for everybody that lives here.
Thank you very much, all candidates. I do appreciate that. Thank you, public stakeholders, for providing public comment. I hope everybody's been spoken, and I've been cut off everyone. And the way we are going to be doing this is we are going to be doing this by roll call vote. I'm going to ask Jason if you can help me do a roll call. So once every candidate is all board members who are seated, what you'll be doing is you'll name the board member that you are going to be voting for. And then once that the highest voting board member fulfills this vacant seat, which is a 2-year seat. This is an at-large representative. As I mentioned, it's a 2-year seat. And with that, Jason, are you ready?
Yes. Okay, so we have Jen, Arpin, Brandy, and Alan. I'm not going to do last names. Okay. So I'll start in alphabetical order. We have David Balin.
Arpin.
Christine. Demerchian. I'm going to try.
Jennifer.
Jason, Hector. Jennifer. Miran Kalajian.
Miran
will come back to you. Gabriel.
Jennifer.
David Lasher.
Arpin.
Becky Levesque.
Jennifer.
Luis Ramirez.
Luis,
He switched over to a phone.
And you're on mute.
*9 to unmute yourself.
Arpin. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Your vote has been recorded, Luis.
Thank you.
And Voss Singh.
Jennifer.
And Miran, are you there?
Jennifer.
Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Jennifer, 3 for Arpin. So Jennifer, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to the other candidates. Thank you for participating. Please, if you can, stay in the meeting. Just be participants in this board meeting. Jennifer, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I do appreciate for all board members' participation in all the questions. Councilmember Lee, would you like to do another quick oath?
That's why I was waiting around. I was waiting around to see who was going to get elected so I could give them the oath.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. And I am going to screen share again.
Okay. All right, Jennifer, if you can Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I pledge to respect my neighborhood with dignity, integrity, and pride.
I pledge to represent my neighborhood with dignity, integrity, and pride.
I will encourage other points of view, even when they differ from my own.
I will encourage other points of view, even when they differ from my own.
I will respect, value, and consider everyone's opinion.
I will respect, value, and consider everyone's opinion.
I will find the good in my neighborhood, praise it, and promote it.
I will find the good in my neighborhood, praise it, and promote it.
To my neighbors and to the neighbors throughout the city of Los Angeles,
To my neighbors and to neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles,
I pledge to do this to the best of my ability.
I pledge to do this to the best of my ability.
Jennifer, congratulations as the newest member of the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. I appreciate that. Thank you, board members. Thank you, members of the public, for participation, for all the questions. I was glad to always have all the candidates. I hope for that, and for the board members who are not elected this evening, please participate. There is one more position as stated. That David, did you have a?
No, I was agreeing with you. One more position that we will have at the August meeting.
Yes, that's as
fall right
mentioned.
within our 30 days. Thank you.
Yeah, so just want to make an announcement that this, just as part of the process informing stakeholders, there is an additional position, which is an at-large representative with the term of 2025 that will be up, is a vacant seat. And so with that, we'll be going to item number 9, where we've already sat our newly elected board member, Jennifer. I will follow up with you so we can make sure you receive all trainings. Just a heads up, you may not be able to vote on the funding items down the agenda item.
Okay.
With that, we'll be going. Jason, did you have anything?
For the item number 9.
Okay. Did you want to bring the motion to the floor? I forgot to do that. Okay. Okay, so we are going to item number 9. With this is the election of the PRNC president. Board members, I'm just going to bring up a quick. I would like, as we move forward, I'd like to get everybody to get comfortable with knowing your bylaws. Your bylaws are put in your website as well as our website. The Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council bylaws sort of provide all the officer positions and also the term limits. The executive officers, right, shall include the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. As stated in your bylaws, no board member must serve in more than one officer position with the exception of an officer who may also serve as a second signer and bank holder. And the PRNC may also elect to select an alternate signer, which is something that the board it will be best to do so. So I just wanted to do that and just sort of give duties and response and powers, but as stated in your bylaws, how the president shall preside all meetings and direct all board activities. And so that is the position that we are, this board will be taking action to elect this evening. And by doing so, I just want to let everybody know that once this president is elected, I will be turning over the meeting. Also, we'll be doing administrative amends in the back end. That means we'll be doing a transfer of the Zoom assigned. There will also be a change in the website administrator, all that sort of back end. We'll be working with outgoing president on that matter. And with that, just want to let everybody know you can appoint yourself or appoint someone. One thing about office elections, you can also vote for yourself. If you and I definitely say that Jason is very excited. You're going to be the first one. Did you want to do the nomination? Did you want to nominate yourself or another board member?
Yeah, I'm gonna nominate myself.
Okay, so Jason will be nominating himself. So with that, I may ask another board member to help me take roll call, so just in case if anything changes. Any other board member?
You know what? I'll nominate myself.
Gabriel will be nominating himself for president. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me write this down.
Guys, I should be moved back to not panelist.
Thanks for that, catching that one, Brandy. I appreciate it.
Bye, everyone. Thanks. Congrats, Jen.
Okay. Okay, so we have two candidates, Gabriel and
David
Jason.
Lasher has his hand.
David, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Dave Balin.
Will you be accepting the nomination? Mr. Dave Balin? David, did you want to accept the nomination?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? I'd like to nominate, no, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Anybody else just wanna, you sure you don't want me to be your president? You sure? I have an amazing smile. Okay, any other, okay, just no other board members? No other nominations? Okay. With that, in an effort to just, I want to definitely provide everybody the opportunity to speak. I'm gonna open it up to board members. Did you have any questions? The three candidates, do you want to do a quick introduction, your reason for running for this position? Start there.
I'll start it out. So I'm David Balin. I am the outgoing president. A lot of you know me personally, have worked with me. I have been on the board for about 6 years now. This board position was basically thrown at me due to the resignation of our previous president, Esam. At the time, I was the vice president. I knew nothing about how to run the meeting. I knew nothing about how to do the newsletters. I knew nothing about how to do the secretary's position. And I was able to overcome all those obstacles right away. Those were all handed to me. Unfortunately, our secretary had resigned as well, and I had to run with his position. Not only was I the president, I'm very involved with all the committees. I started the very first Porter Ranch Youth Committee, which is going extremely strong. I have been the co-chair of the Beautification Committee. I am always out there assisting the community. I work endlessly for the Neighborhood Council, and I know how to run this board. I'm very unbiased, and I really know how to serve this community. So David, thank you again for that nomination.
Gibson, can I say something?
Let me do the candidate introductions real quick so they can just, and then, or did you want to do?
Yeah, it's relating to the candidates.
What's up? Okay, go ahead.
I want to second the nomination of Gabriel Khanlian.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Gabriel, did you want to speak?
Yes, definitely. My name is Gabriel Canlian. I was the secretary for 5 years, but resigned to run for the vice president seat last time. Also felt that many people do not appreciate the roles on councils, and that was a way to send a message across for the next person to take over and see exactly how hard it is to take an executive position on board. And I think many of us learned how hard it was, what the secretary, president, vice president, etc. do. I'm very well qualified. I have been on many boards before. I have been on the neighborhood council for 5 years, as stated. Very familiar with the issues, very familiar with the neighborhood. And it's time to bring back Porter Ranch as it needs to be. And I'm here for the people, I'm here for the council, and ready to work with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Gabriel. Jason, did you want to?
No.
No?
I actually wrote something out, so I hope it's like 2 to 3 minutes. I hope it's okay if I read this.
Let's go. You got it.
Okay, thank you. You know, my name is Jason, and I've served as the treasurer for the last 2 years, and I've chaired the beautification committee. My interest in helping the community is because I love Porter Ranch, number one, but also because of my 8-year-old daughter, Chloe. Teaching our youth at a very young age how to get things done and be leaders in our community is an invaluable experience. Leading by example and teaching them that when you want something done in the community, you need to go out and figure out how to do it yourself. My passion is for nature and the beautiful oak woodlands that we live among here in Porter Ranch. I put hundreds of requests in 311 for graffiti removal, bulky item pickups, brush clearance, street sweeping, potholes, 118 freeway requests, which is always a disaster. And that's why we keep things nice here in Porter Ranch, and it takes a constant effort. Our outdoor spaces are one of the great assets we have here in Porter Ranch. Our schools are as well. And I'm serving as the chair of the Castle Bay Governance Board, where we help get iPads for all the students, school gardens from the county, tree trimming, and repainting a wall that was a total eyesore along Braymore there. Now, when I joined the board, I saw an immediate need, and that was to address the dead and dying trees. And I'm proud of the 3 projects that this neighborhood council did. The first one was removing the dead trees along Tampa. Then we did a 3-day project in Limekiln Canyon and Tampa, removing more dead trees. And actually, we saved those forests from the fire when the Saddle Ridge fire came. And the last project we did most recently was the 60 stumps that we had removed throughout Porter Ranch on the streets Cessnon, Rinaldi, Wilbur, and Reseda that will allow us to plant trees now in the future. These projects are a lot of work, but the experience is valuable, and to a board president, and the relationships built are priceless for future projects and collaborations. The other thing I'm passionate about is art and the impact it has on our community. The first public art project in Porter Ranch was from the Beautification Committee and the PRNC, and this was done in collaboration with funding from the Cultural Affairs Department of the city, Councilman Lee's office, Northridge West, and the PRNC. It's a project that brought the first public art to Porter Ranch, which is long overdue, given that our community plan calls for an art trust decades ago that should have been set up. With respect to those funds for art, it was while serving on the Land Use Committee with my co-chair, David Balin, that it became apparent after reviewing the Porter Ranch specific plan that there was supposed to be a specific trust set up for Porter Ranch for art. The Land Use Committee wrote impact statements and spoke at the hearings and also spoke with CD12. And thankfully, this was formed just before the departure of Councilman Englander. And actually, this account has over $250,000 in it, specifically designated for Porter Ranch. These are things that I'm proud of that we've done. It was a pleasure collaborating on projects in the parks, and through the relationships and their support, we'll continue to bring great ideas for the arts to Porter Ranch. Relationships with the council office and each other have to be enjoyable, amicable, and respectful. And that is the standard I will hold as president. I've developed good working relationships with all our board members, and my goal is to bring harmony to the board so that we can make it fun and do great things for the community. There are also mutual enjoyment in working with the council office, and having gained their financial support on projects is something that we're proud of. And the councilman's office is also going to support our tree project in the parks. And this is really quite an accomplishment. Also, I want to mention that, Becky and I were recognized in the spotlight from the city councilman's office, which is a tremendous honor. And I'm really humbled by that. It really means a lot, because what we do as volunteers, sometimes we feel like, it's all work and no recognition, but that's something that I'm proud of. And lastly, I just want to say that the accomplishments of this board do not go unnoticed. PRNC stands as a voice for our urban forests, our parks, our schools, our fire department, our LAPD, and our stakeholders. PRNC is a leader among neighborhood councils, and our future is bright, and we should work together to collaborate and work as a team. So thank you for hearing me out. I know it was a little long-winded, but I do ask for your support as president. Thank you.
Hi there, David.
Gibson, I'm going to decline running for president, and I'm going to ask the entire board to support Jason Hector, as I have worked with Jason, and he is, I think I work endlessly. Jason has worked endlessly, and I know that he's going to be a great leader, and I know that he works well with the councilman's office. He's done more than me, and I'm going to support Jason wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Okay, Any other board members? Did you want to say something here or ask questions? Yes, Mr. Lasher.
I think all three candidates are certainly well qualified. Gabriel, Dave, and Jason. With respect to David declined to be the president, I thought I nominated David because I think under his leadership, we've had really smooth sailing for the past several months and very little animosity. The meeting's been run smoothly, and I think Jason would continue that. So I support Jason in that endeavor, and I wish him the best of luck, and certainly appreciate Gabriel's commitment and time he's given to the board as well.
Thank you. Any other board members? Miss Becky, is that you want to say something? Christine? Okay. Luis, did you want to say something?
No, I'm okay. You know.
Okay, did any members of the public want to provide public comment? Please go ahead and use the raise hand feature if you'd like, or if you're calling in, please press *9. Just want to say one more time, if anybody wants to provide public comment on this agenda item in the election of the PRNC president, please raise your hand if you'd like to. Okay. Okay. And with that, so just want to let everybody know, David, I'm going to ask you to help me do a roll call then for the two candidates. So we have Gabriel and Jason. And again, as this board, similar to how we just did the board vacancy, we shall be, once you're called up, please just say the name of the board member. And that is how this board will be voting for the president.
Start with myself, David Balin. I vote for Jason Hector. Becky Levesque.
Gabriel Conlian.
Boss Singh. Boss, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, Gabriel Khanlian.
Thank you very much. Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Jen.
Gabriel Conlian.
Thank you. Christine.
Gabriel Conlian.
Miran.
Gabriel.
David Lasher.
Jason.
Jason Hector.
Myself.
Good job. All right. On that note, I think we have 7-3, and Gabriel will be the new president of the Port Ranch Neighborhood Council. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, Gabriel. Appreciate
Did you get
that.
Luis?
Oh, Luis?
Luis?
Jason.
So we have 4-6. Thank you very much. My apology, Luis. Okay. Still,
Gabriel, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Just want to let everybody know that I voted for myself as well. I appreciate that. With that, I definitely want to pass on the meeting to you, Gabriel, if you're comfortable with that.
I am comfortable. Thank you.
Okay, Jason, can you please go ahead and make Gabriel co-host, please?
Oh, I'm making him co-host.
Or host.
Yep. Give me a second here.
With that, Mr. President, the meeting is yours. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody's participation.
Gabriel, you want to take the host? You want to take the co-host? Which would you prefer?
I'll take the host. That's fine.
Okay.
Either way is fine with me.
There you go.
For the first meeting. Thank you. Let's move on to the next item, which is election of vice president, secretary, treasurer, and second signer. And I want to start off also by thanking everyone for your votes. I appreciate it. And looking forward to a successful 2 years. Are there any nominations for vice president?
Yes, I would like to nominate Mr. Voss Singh.
Thank you. Any other nominations?
I'll recommend Jason Hector.
Jason, will you accept that nomination?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Going once, going twice, closed. I'll open up to both of you. If you want to speak about why you want to run for vice president, that'll be great. Voss, do you want to start?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I have been a board member for this is my third term. I was elected in 2006 and went on to 2010, then 2010 to 2014. And then I had some health concern, and that's what I could not take the position. So now I'm back again, and I want to serve the community and the neighborhood council. I have some contacts at the city level. I have the contacts with the departments. I have the contacts with various chambers of commerce and other things. And I have a liaison experience more than 35 years. So I had already served to the best of my capacity, and I was a chair of Speaker Bureau, and I will still be inviting the speaker and other leaders. And I will also like the voice of the community to be heard at the City Hall and see that fair share of city services is given to Porter and Neighborhood Council. So I will try to do my best to serve the community, and we'll see that its voice is represented at all levels and it gets its fair share of services. Thank you.
Thank you, Voss. Thank you. Jason?
I read a long-winded speech, so I will just say that what's important is relationships with the city departments, with the council office, and that we all work together as a team, regardless of the outcome of the elections or anything else. And so regardless, I think we need to work with each other and other neighborhood councils, and that's the only way we're going to really solve the issues we face here in our community. That's all.
Thank you, Jason. Does any board members have any questions for the candidates? Yes, David.
Question for Voss. Voss, you've been on the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council before. Can you tell us what you've done with the council? What accomplishments have you brought to the board?
Yes, we have done so many things. One of them.
No, what have you? I'm just asking you personally. Thank you.
Personally, it is like, as Jason said, it is a teamwork. I was a part of it. I used to introduce and other things and get the things done. One of them was Go Green initiative taken by the council, and there was a train disaster, and we had participated in coordination with Chatsworth Neighborhood Council, and Porter Ranch was recognized for that service. And we also had the 10-year celebration on 2013, I believe, and I represented Porter and Neighborhood Council at the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners approval meeting, and then we got the certificate recognition for Porter Ranch. And there are so many other things, like I worked in the coordination for Bureau of Sanitation. I worked for the Bureau of this Public Works Department services, street lighting, street services, and other department. And I had participated, represented DUN at DUN, Department of Neighborhood Council Empowerment. And then I had represented at the City Council also. And I had participated in the inviting the speakers for the neighborhood council. And I was bringing the department heads, like we had the GMs of various departments, and we were benefited by their coming to the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, and they coordinated with us at all the levels. And now if there is anything, I will get the services done. I will approach these authorities again. I will do in my individual capacity also to go beyond the extra service mile, and I will bring them again to the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council. And my goal is to bring the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council #1 out of the 99 neighborhood councils. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions for the candidates? If there are no other questions from the panelists, let's go to the attendees. Attendees, please raise your hand if you have any questions. I don't see any. All right.
Nothing, you're clear.
All right, sounds good. Let's move on and call the vote. Should I call the vote, or Gibson, do you want to do it?
Gibson's gone.
Is he gone? Okay. All right, I'll call the vote for Vice President. David Balin.
Jason Hector.
Thank you. Becky.
Boston.
Thank you. Voss.
Vasing.
Thank you. David Lasher.
Jason.
Jennifer.
Boston.
Jason. Can't hear you.
Myself.
Thank you. Christine.
Boston.
Thank you. Miran. Miran. Let's skip him for the moment. Lewis.
Jason Hector.
Thank you. Gabriel. I'll go for Voss. Let's go back to Miran. Miran. Let me see the count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Currently, I have 4 votes for Jason and 5 votes for Beck. 5 votes for Voss.
Who are we missing?
Miran.
Miran. Should we message him real quick?
I'll message him. I got you.
Okay.
This is the problem of double time.
Yep.
I just told him we need him, Jason or Voss.
Exactly. We'll give it about a minute.
Fine.
Because I just want everybody's votes counted.
Miran,
There he is.
can you tell him what we're voting on, please?
Miran, we're voting right now for Vice President, 2 candidates, Voss and Jason, and we need your vote. Can't hear you, sorry.
He says Voss.
Voss,
I can read his lips.
thank you. Voss got 6, Miran. Voss got 6 and Jason got 4. Voss wins Vice Presidency. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on to Secretary. Are there any nominations for Secretary?
I'd like to nominate Christine.
Thank you, Becky. Any other nominations? Moment to think about it, maybe.
Does she accept?
I accept. And I'm so sorry, my video keeps cutting in and out. So
No problem.
That's okay. This is David Balin. By city rules, you don't have to be on video during COVID. So you're good.
Any other nominations? All right. Are there any objections for Christine becoming secretary, as she is the only candidate running for secretary? With no objections, Christine, congratulations. You are officially secretary.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go for treasurer.
I nominate Jason Hector.
Do you accept that, Jason?
Okay.
You're a great treasurer,
You
Jason.
voted me down for president and VP. Now you want me for treasurer. I see how it is.
You are the best treasurer.
We want you
When
to
you're
be
good,
with us.
you're good. When you're good, you're not replaceable.
We want you in our team.
All
Any,
right.
Jason,
any other nominations for treasurer?
You know, it's funny because my wife will be happy, I think.
and
She
how
doesn't
about
want me to be stressed out.
Going once, going twice. Are there any objections for Jason from being treasurer?
best ever?
Perfect. And Jason, congratulations.
Hold on 1 second. Glenn Bailey has his hand up. So let's see.
Is she? Let me see. Oh, there it is. Go for it, Glenn.
Yes, no, I mean, Jason's a great treasurer. My comment was, because this is a financial officer position, I recommend that you affirmatively vote so you have a BAC to provide to city clerk if necessary. That's my recommendation for any of the financial officer positions. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. All right, let's call a vote then for treasurer. Yes or no for Jason being treasurer? David Valen?
Yes, but one quick thing, I'm not sure if, because it's a funding item, I'm not sure if Jen can vote on this one. Because it has to do with funding.
That's fine.
I'm not sure. So Glenn would
Well,
probably
we
be.
can skip her just to be safe. Either way, there's only one person nominated, so it
I'm
doesn't.
just trying to be safe.
Let's
So
do
yes
it.
for Jason.
Sounds good. 1 second, let me note this. Becky?
Yes, Jason.
Thank you. Voss?
Jason.
David Lasher?
Jason.
Thank you. Jennifer can't vote. Jason?
Yes.
Thank you. Christine?
Jason.
Thank you. Miran? Miran is not here at the moment again.
Back at
Louis?
Woodland Hills.
Yep. Louis? Louis is here or he's gone too? Louis?
So just a quick note about Lewis. He is in, his father had brain bleeding on the brain. He's in Washington this time. So I think he's in and out of the hospital.
Gotcha.
So he's trying to stay on with us.
Okay, so I'll mark him absent right now. Gabriel, yes. Jason. And now I can congratulate you, Jason. So we have one that can't vote. We have 2 absent and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeses.
Congratulations, Jason.
Thank you.
Let's move on to second signer. 1 second. Thank you. Do we have any nominations for second signer?
I nominate Becky.
Thank you, Voss.
Accept.
Thank you, Becky. Any other nominations for second signer?
I'll nominate Christine.
Thank you. Christina is already secretary. Can she have 2 positions?
There's no conflict. Second signer is simply the person who would sign the BACs. Oh,
Gotcha.
actually, you know what? I take that back. I was thinking second card holder. Never mind.
This is second signer.
Second signer.
David should know because I know he was stuck in a position a while back as second signer and VP, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the current was.
What happened with that? Can she run for both or? Can't hear you. Sorry.
Yes.
You can have up to 2 signers. So Becky can be the second signer, and then you can also have another one because you were the third signer as secretary. Remember?
Correct. So right now for second signer though, can Christine be nominated?
Actually, I'd like to nominate Gabriel for second signer.
As the president and second signer?
President has nothing to do with second signer. Second signer just means you're going to sign. The treasurer is the first signer. Second signer would be the second line. And David's been doing it. but you got to be able to fax over the signatures, scan over the signatures and all that. And I've been
Got it.
working with you on, and David, so.
Got it. Okay. And
I'll nominate you.
Thank you. I will, let me think about that one. Any other nominations before I accept or decline this offer nomination? Nope. Let me decline the offer because I did take the president position.
We can make, you know what? I would like to nominate our new board member, Jen. Giving her a
Will you
task.
accept that, Jennifer?
Thank you.
Will you accept?
I'll accept the nomination.
Thank you. So right now we have Becky and we have Jen. Any other candidates or nominations?
Glenn Bailey has his hand up again.
Go for it, Glenn.
Okay, thanks. I do recommend, if you're, sorry, I'm not quite following. If you're doing just second signer, that's right, it can be anybody but the treasurer, as Jason said. Just want to make sure anyone who knows if they accept second signer, alternate signer, card holder, or second card holder, they are required to take the financial officers training before they will be able to assume office. Just want to make sure that, obviously a few of you have already done that, but I just want to make sure, especially for the new board members, that they were aware of that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll remove my name as second signer and throw my support to Jen.
Thank you, Becky.
Gabriel, can I just mention one thing?
Yes, sir.
It's important that we have a second signer in place. So it's very important that that training gets done right away, because I cannot process anything, any of the paperwork without that second signature on any of the BACs. And that's why we do the alternate signer. So then you have 3 people to get 2 signatures. So if Jen isn't available or I'm not available, the other 2 people, and alternate signer wasn't put on here, but we need to have an alternate signer as well.
I was the alternate signer prior.
Right.
Does the training transfer over? You know?
Yeah, if you've done the training and you were alternate signer, then you should be good, but you have to check on that training.
Okay.
That's why I nominated you, because you were already alternate signer. But we need to fill both positions. I guess we'll have to do it in another meeting.
Got it. Okay. We'll add the alternate signer at next meeting, just in case. So Becky withdrew. We have Jennifer, no other candidates, and we do have to vote on it. So let's call a vote on that. For Jennifer. Balin?
Yes, Jennifer.
Thank you, Becky. Can't hear you, sorry.
Yes, Jennifer.
Thank you. Mr. Voss?
Jennifer.
Thank you. David Lasher?
Yes, for Jennifer.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Myself, sure.
Jason?
Yes.
Thank you. Christine?
Jennifer.
Thank you. Miran? Absent. There you go. Miran, will you accept Jennifer for second signer? Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? I said yes.
Thank you. Louis? Still absent. Gabriel? Yes. Congratulations, Jennifer, you're second signer.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we can't vote for alternative, so we'll put that on next agenda. I got a quick question to ask the board. I wanted to do the committees today, but I don't see it on the agenda, so I assume we can't move forward with committees. Is that correct, David?
That is correct.
Okay. And due respect to the new board and tests and everything that they need to take in the courses, I want to see if I can request to table the rest of the agenda in respect to the new executive board, and want to make sure the new executive board is ready to proceed successfully, being that's the first meeting they're going to have, and to prepare and adopt their new roles and positions. Is that fine with the board to table the rest of the agenda till possible special meeting or next month's meeting? Because we do have a couple of funding items, and with a new secretary and second signer that has not taken any of the courses, I think it's safer to say to table everything else.
Can we have a
Well,
break? 5 minutes break.
I think we should look at these items individually. There's a thank you letter. I mean, I'm okay with tabling things, but you know, there's a board member reimbursement for the mosquito dunks. They ended up charging my credit card, and that was something that has nothing to do with the old, the new board, I should say.
But where does the funding come from? The new budget, correct?
We approved the mosquito dunks, and because it was the end of the fiscal year, it didn't get paid. I paid out of pocket for that.
Correct. I saw that paperwork.
Yeah, so that's what happened on that. The thank you letter is not a financial item. I mean, I can wait, but I think it's nice to recognize the hard work that the city has done in our community. You know, our agendas are very packed. We can certainly approve an MER. We can do a treasurer report. We can go through the minutes. The minutes don't pertain to, you know, the more you pass on to the next meeting, the more, you know,
Correct.
we're gonna have to deal with in the next meeting.
So are you suggesting we'll move forward with item number 12 and 6 and number 15 at the least?
Yeah, I think 12, I have the letter. I can pull it up. We can go through it. We have time. The mosquito dunks is something that was approved for the previous board. Also the $7,200 for improvement projects, but I understand that's a big expenditure, so I respect, you know, the new boards being on board with the project. So I'm okay with postponing that. Treasurer report, you know, that doesn't have anything to do with.
Got it. Are there any suggestions from any other board members? No other suggestions?
I agree with Jason. I mean, we definitely need to address what we can with that, pushing things to the next month, given the load.
Okay, let's do this then. Let's go ahead with item number 12, the letter real quick. And let's do the treasurer's report, which should be pretty quick.
You gotta let me share screen.
Okay, 1 second.
Glenn Bailey has his hand up again.
Sure, 1 second. Trying to figure out how do I give him share screen option?
I was hoping while you were sharing screen, I could just quickly indicate that the next financial officers training session is scheduled for Tuesday, July 27th, and it does fill up. So I would recommend that, I guess Jen, I don't know who all needs to do it, but Jen, definitely do the RSVP from the city clerk's website like ASAP. So before it fills up, and then you'll be good to go on that.
Thank you,
Glenn. Thank you, Glenn.
I'm still disabled.
I'm trying to unlock you. Do I have to make you as
Go to Jason, go to Jason's,
I'm
click
there.
on Jason.
Right.
And then where it says, and then just click on to his usage. And you'll
Right.
be able to add him.
That's the part that I not being able to for some reason.
Okay. You want to click me back on as co-host?
Sure, 1 second.
So I literally turn it over to you.
Go for it.
All right, okay. Let's go here. Let's go to Jason. All right.
I don't see the option for it at all, so.
Jason, can you click on yet?
Not yet.
Should be able to share. You should
I
be able to
think
do it.
if you stop share, David,
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
and then let me try, still disabled. Jeez.
I stop share.
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Yeah, it's weird. I can't do it either for some reason.
Okay. Well,
You want to just read the letter, Jason?
yeah, I can read it.
Go for it.
I wanted to read it anyways because we have a new board coming in and I can't send to new board members. So, okay, so this letter, and just so you guys know, we did the, our big improvement projects was removing stumps, urban forestry. We gave them money. They did a fantastic job. And that department is very important to us because they handle all the street trees, the sidewalks. So building a strong relationship with them is very important moving forward. And so I drafted this letter of appreciation, and it's going to the general manager, Keith Mose, and David Miranda, who's the new urban forester. He replaced Tim Tyson. And it says, it did not go unnoticed the extraordinary job the urban forestry department, namely Mr. Scott Harmon and Ron Toll, over the last several years to culminate the last month, which probably our most impressive project, removing approximately 60 stumps in Porter Ranch. It was with the assistance of Mr. Tull and Mr. Harmon and CD12 staff, Mr. Cotto, Mr. Valencia, Mr. Rubine, Ms. Burnson, and others that made this project happen. Through collaboration with the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, we were able to successfully work through our backlog of dead trees and stump removals, so that now we are in a great position to focus on future plantings and maintenance of the existing 70+ newly planted trees from urban forestry. Thanks for that as well to Mr. Rubine from CD12 and Mr. Harmon and Mr. Tyson from urban forestry. Mr. Harmon has been extremely helpful over the last several years in working with our council to get the necessary approvals back in 2019 to remove several dead trees on Tampa. Also delivering a very quick response to our request for action letter on another dozen dead trees, and most recently overseeing the outstanding, fantastic UFD crews who managed to take out more than 60 stumps in just 2 days, far exceeding our expectations. It was a pleasure to meet Mr. Harmon in person and share the common goals and ideas on how we can work together in getting trees planted. However, through partnerships between CD12, urban forestry, neighborhood councils, and others, we are confident we can continue to be leaders in addressing our urban forestry needs. Let us all be a voice for the forest to build a strong, resilient, and well-maintained urban infrastructure. The UFD handling of this most recent project was so easy because the permits were handled, dig alert was called, the work was scheduled and completed very fast with fast quality. The UFD crews worked extremely hard, removing the asphalt chugs, the bricks, the weeds, competing trees, and stumps, of course, leaving a tree well ready for a new tree. It is certainly much for neighborhood councils as volunteers to not have to do all these things mentioned above, and it's great to see our nearby councils such as Northridge West and Granada Hills North doing similar projects with urban forestry here in the North Valley. Through this continued great work over the next fiscal year, neighborhood councils and the council office can help the city get a handle on the tremendous amount of backlog work from years or decades of insufficient funding for our urban forests. Respectfully yours, Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council.
Thank you, Jason.
And then copy to John Lee and to Scott Harmon and Rob Tull at Urban Forestry.
Thank you.
And yeah, if you guys want to wait on the letter, I'm okay with that too. But it's just like we have a new leadership going on in urban forestry, and it's important to establish ourselves right away with the department that we are taking initiative here in Porter Ranch, and we appreciate the support from the city. So,
thank you, Jason. Now that you read the letter, that's we can move forward. Does any board members have any questions for Jason regarding the letter? Looks like a no. Any attendees?
No. Can I have a question?
Yes, Becky.
Okay. I just want to make sure that it's on the letterhead that has all the new board members on it.
Yes, yes.
That's all I want to say, because I know the letterhead today only had 4 names. We need to get all of our names on there. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Becky. All right, seems like there's
And the
no.
letter will be signed by the president and then myself as chair of the beautification committee.
Perfect.
Okay, let's call the vote. Secretary, are you ready to do it, or should I continue doing it for this first meeting?
Yes, please continue just for this meeting.
I got it. Don't worry. I'm doing it right now.
Okay, yeah, I got the paperwork in front of me
We're
too.
both doing it like usual.
Except we have different order this time. My order is a little different at the moment. You want to do it, or should I do it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Go for
I
it.
do it in alphabetical order by last name.
Go for it.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the letter. Thank you letter to Urban Forestry Department and the council.
Correct. I'll second it.
Okay, David Balin,
Yes.
Christine Demerchian,
Can't hear you, Christine. Unmute.
you're still muted.
Now we lost her totally.
But when you get it unmuted, we'll get you. Jen Ibrahim,
Can she vote on the funding?
It's not funding. It's a letter. Jen,
she can abstain if she's not. Jen,
can you unmute or press the space button? There you go. Are you good with the letter? Yes or no?
okay. Jason, yes. Iran,
Miran?
Ron, yes or no on the letter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Gabriel,
Yes.
David Lasher,
Yes.
Becky Levesque,
Unmute.
Yes.
Thank you.
Luis Ramirez,
Absent.
absent. Vosh Singh,
Yes.
Christine,
and
back.
one more chance for Christine. They're unmuted. You look good now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So motion carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 yeses and 1 absence.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to, let's jump to item number 15 real quick.
Treasury report. Gabriel, do you know how to pull up the dashboard, or do you want me to just, you know what, I can just do it verbally.
Go
Let
for
me
it.
just- Yeah, let me just pull it up. There's not much to report here. But can you get the MER ready since have screen share from the next one? But let me pull it up here real quick. We basically, I'll just go off the top of my head. We
It's
basically
on there.
Oh,
Do you
it's
guys
on.
not see it?
It's
Oh.
on.
You see it now.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Oh, the MER. Okay. Well, let's do the MER because that's what we have on the screen.
Want to do an MER? All right.
Yeah, we're on,
number 16.
Yeah, let me print this. Okay, so for the MER, let me see here.
This is a consent calendar. So if we're going to do MER, let me ask the question. Does anybody want to split up the consent calendar?
Well, I have some changes on the minutes, so.
You do. So let's separate the consent calendar. Let's do A and B. The first one's the MER. Let's move forward with the MER.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to ratify the June 2021 monthly expenditure report.
I'll second that.
Okay. So yeah, these are the MPGs we paid out, the 2,500 for the LA Fire Department, Devonshire Palace 1,500, Castle Bay 21,600, Let's see, and then the other one was the 2,500. I don't know why they're all, okay, keep going. And then the rest is like all the receipts and things. So this is the last MER of our fiscal year. That net available will give you an idea of what we have to roll over. So we're gonna have about 9,600 to roll over. And that was because the tree project, the 7,200 that we approved last fiscal year for the tree project, we were not able to get all the approvals in time before the end of the fiscal year. So that's why I have the motion there to reconsider that for next fiscal year. So we are rolling over the 9,600. And when I go on the dashboard, I only see the 32,000. So in August, we'll get that approximately $9,000 rolled into our budget. So we'll be working with 41,000-ish. I think last time I checked, we had about $600 in expenses. Well, actually, I'll do that on the treasury report. So with the MER, this is the last MER for the fiscal year, basically.
Thank you, Jason. Does anyone have any questions to Jason regarding the MER? None from the board. Any attendees? None from the attendees, so we can move forward and call a vote.
Okay, I can call the vote. David Balin,
Yes.
Christine Demercian,
Yes.
Jen Ibrahim.
She can't vote.
Yes.
Oh, I think,
It's funding matter, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
funding
that's
related.
what I was
So-
saying. Yeah.
my recommendation is those of you who were not on the board at that time, you should probably just abstain. Because you were not really part of the board at that time, but you're welcome to vote any way you wish.
Can I vote to abstain?
Yeah, I got you there.
Sure.
Jen Ibrahim,
I'll abstain my vote as well.
and then Jason, yes. Miran, come back.
That jump over him.
Miran, Gabriel,
Yes.
David Lasher,
I'm here at our meeting. Yes.
Becky Levesque,
Yes.
Luis Ramirez, absent, right?
Correct.
Bas Singh,
Abstain.
okay. Miran, are you around? He's absent.
Absent it is.
So 2 absent, 3 abstain, 5 yes.
Gabriel, Glenn
Jason,
Bailey
I-
has his hand up again.
Yes, Glenn.
Just anyone who hasn't completed, this is a funding item, anyone who hasn't completed their trainings is ineligible and should be marked ineligible, not abstain. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
So Jennifer is ineligible.
Okay, so Christine, Jen, or Voss, do you object to being recorded as ineligible?
Yes.
No, Jason,
They've
just
done
for
their,
the-
they've done their training, Jason.
Oh, they've done their training.
I have done my training. Yeah.
Okay, so your vote is fine. Jen, you've done your training?
I have not. I have not done the training.
Okay, so you want to be ineligible then?
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn. Always looking out for us. And then Christine?
She's done the training.
She's done her training.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have 1 ineligible and 2 abstain, and 2 absent and 5.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. And who's gonna be, who's our second signer?
The second signer right
That
now
you?
is Jennifer.
Jennifer, okay. So I'm gonna need her email. I'm gonna have to send these over. Okay.
Perfect.
Make sure we get everybody set up with their email.
Correct. I'll
Okay.
get that information from David, how to set everything up. Sounds good. So, and
We're gonna do
motion,
the treasurer report, or we're gonna do the minutes?
The minutes you have changes and the fact that once again, the secretary is new, I think we should table that.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's do the treasury report.
Treasury report. Okay. Give me 1 second. I can log into the system here. Hold on. So I kind of summarized it that we have the 32,000 that we get from the city. Constant Contact came through. That's like 450. That's for our email. Our not our email, our e-blast. So yeah, I have it here. Expenses to date, $617. Net available, $31,383. So like I mentioned, we're gonna have approximately 9,000 rolling over. So that'll push us up to about 40,000. We've already allocated our budget. And we can certainly revisit that at the retreat if we're gonna have one, but we have right now neighborhood purpose grants, 6,000 budgeted, community improvement projects, 6,000, and then general and operating expenses, 20,000. We kind of just pulled that together to get the paperwork in with the city, so we can certainly discuss that further. And the rollover funds we have coming, and as far as expenses, just our regular stuff. We have the Constant Contact for 456. We had storage for 161. So that's all we had.
Thank you, Jason. See, this is the reason why we want you treasurer. You know numbers.
You got it, my friend.
Thank you. I think that's it for now. Everything else is tabled, and there's nothing on the agenda.
Can we do the
comments?
what about the board member reimbursement?
You really want to move forward with that, huh?
Well, otherwise I'm going to send back those things. I'm going to send them back to Amazon because I'm not paying for it out of pocket. They're just sitting in storage, and
Got it. They are in storage right now already.
they're in storage right now, and they're waiting for Becky and Brandy. But yeah, I want to get reimbursed. Otherwise, I'm just going to send them back to Amazon.
Got it. Got it. Let's do it then. Let's move forward with that, and then we'll call it a meeting. David, and your name's on it. You want to bring the motion?
I'm going to decline on giving Jason back his money. It's going to make him suffer.
We can make him wait a month.
Give me a second here. He's been whining about those ducats getting paid for him. All right, here we go. It's a motion to approve, and we also have the other one before we move on regarding since we're still doing things about the Congress, and we need to defer that to Voss. So this motion is a motion to approve board member reimbursement in the amount of $202.54 to Mr. Jason Hector for the purchase of 200 mosquito dunks.
All right.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it. Gabriel seconds it. Any questions from the board? I see
a question.
Hands up by Lasher, correct.
I have a question.
I just want to make sure we had just a minute at the end for the COVID update. We got one important announcement, but I will put my hand down for the moment.
Any other questions? David Balin, you had a question?
We're good.
We're good. Any questions from the attendees? All right, let's call the vote. Jason, you want to do the vote again?
All right. David Balin?
I guess. Yes.
Christine Demercian?
Yes.
Jen Ibrahim?
Yes.
She can't. Funding.
Yeah, she can't vote.
Jen is ineligible,
Correct.
right, Jen?
Correct.
Jason, yes. Or actually, I will abstain. Sorry. Miran? Absent.
Miran absent, okay.
Gabriel?
Yes.
David Lasher?
Yes.
Becky Levesque?
Yes.
Luis Ramirez, absent. Oops. Voss Singh?
A question, I was not here, so can I abstain or?
Yes,
Okay, abstain.
you should abstain. So that's 5 yes, 2 abstain, 2 absent, 1 ineligible.
Correct. Motion
Motion
passes.
passes.
Thank you.
All right.
While we're at it, boss, do you want to do item number 11 or you want to table that?
Yes, I can do that.
While we're at it, let's just do it.
Okay, I make a motion to approve funding for Congress of Neighborhoods in the amount of $1,000. And as you are aware, most of you are aware that there are 99 neighborhood councils in the city of Los Angeles. And this is an annual event where all the 99 neighborhood councils represent there. They give their feedback, they give their input, and they give their what they are needing. And this also involves the trainings, webinars, seminars. And there are going to be 6 Zoom rooms at this time, this year. The theme of the Congress will be Leading Change Together. This year theme is Leading Change Together. This Congress is going to be held on Saturday, September 25th, 2021. And they have also added another website just today. Yes, today I read that one. And if anyone is interested, they can make a note. If you have any questions on the Congress, there is a website that is info at neighborhood council or neighborhood congress, sorry, info at neighborhoodcongress.la. So if there is any question, we are still in the preparation stage at the planning committee, and we are having webinars, seminars, and session. And as I said, that there are going to be 6 Zoom rooms, and each session will be 45 minutes. Some sessions are going to be back to back, so they will be 90-minute sessions. And if you have, when you complete the training, there is one funding training for the new board members. And part of that is when we go for the NPG, there is one item Congress funding. So every neighborhood council contributes their participation, their financial participation. It is a funding which is required by the Congress to make all the arrangements. So there are different slabs, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and $5,000. And I'm recommending $1,000 funding from the PRNC, Neighborhood Council. So I make a motion to approve funding for the Congress of Neighborhoods in the amount of $1,000.
Thank you, boss. Do we have a second? Yes,
I'll
David.
second it.
Yes, David. Malin.
Oh, Becky seconded it. I was just going to wait for you to ask board questions.
Right now. Now's the time. Go for it.
Boss, can you explain to the board, you're asking for $1,000. We are still under COVID. We're still doing Zoom meetings. How do we equate to spending $1,000 for things that are being, we're not renting a venue. There's no paper being done. So I'm trying to understand why we would want to utilize $1,000 when we normally would, I think we've done in the past, maybe 500. I would have to refer that back to Jason on what we've done in the past. But I think $1,000 is quite high during a COVID situation at this time. Thank you.
It is not high considering that they are going to have so many sessions, so many webinars, and there is a production committee, there is a programming committee they are going to invite, and they are having such a program. And as I said, that I have given you the website address. We are still in the discussion stage, preparation stage, how many events we are going to have. So this is $1,000 is there because we are having to spend so much money on that one. And when it is in the physical, like COVID, when there was no pandemic, there used to be more than quite a good amount of money even at that time. So even now they are having the program, they are going to make arrangements, recordings and other things, and sessions arrangements and other things. So the money is required, and that is there. And if you have any question on that one, that I can get information from them, but the funding is there, it is required, and there are most of neighborhood council are giving $2,000 also.
Thank you, boss. David Lasher.
Yeah, I had the same question. If Zoom is free, it's not costing anybody anything. There's no room to be rented. There's no productions to be, printed and handed out. It's all 100% online and electronic and already paid for. Where are the expenses going to be? You mentioned that in the past they had conferences and they had expenses. Yeah, I get that part. But this is not going to be, as long as it's still via Zoom, they're not incurring anything extra that I can think of that would cost us anything.
Because there are going to be studios, there are going to be recordings, there are going to be pre-recorded statements from the city leaders and other things, and they are costing them some money. Production and programming.
That's all paid for. If you've got city staff videotaping
no,
presenters, that's already paid for. Those salaries are already covered. They don't charge extra to do their job.
Within not the city, they are making some other arrangements also by themselves, the Congress.
I noticed that Glenn has his hand up. Glenn, you want to jump in?
I can wait till all the questions are out there if you want, or I can go now. Now?
Go for it.
Okay.
No, well, I'll go before Glenn, because I want to ask a little bit about. So is this a neighborhood purpose grant, boss?
No, it is the Congress funding. It is there, one of the part of the funding program. When you are new board member, you go through the training. This is part of it. It says Congress funding.
No, I know. I've been to the Congress for several years now, and it's a good event. I really appreciate the networking at that event. But I guess my question is, because we do a lot of projects in the community, and so a lot of our money is actually spent back in the community, whereas other neighborhood councils, they do a lot of NPGs and they have events and things like that. So I just want to caution the board, because we've allocated $6,000 for NPGs, which this to me, I consider an NPG. It's not an operating expense, right? And it's not a community improvement project, right? So it has to be an NPG. There's only 3 categories we have. So I just want to caution you, because we have like the YMCA we haven't given money to in a while. They're going to come ask for money. We're going to have a lot of organizations that we're going to want to give money to. And I think that it's a worthy cost to support them. I just think at the $1,000 level, I don't know what benefit we're getting as opposed to a $500 level or a $250 level. What's the difference? The event is going to go on, and we're going to support it. We haven't supported this Congress in the past, so I do support giving them some money, but I think it's more realistic to be giving them something in the neighborhood of 250 to 500,000. I would much rather give money to the budget advocates, because Glenn Bailey and Gary and Brian Allen are consistently at our meetings, every meeting, giving us updates on the city, and we have not given to budget advocates. And I think that we need to look at this holistically in terms of what we will support. And I don't support $1,000, Voss. I think it's too much. I would be supportive of something in the neighborhood of $250 to $500, because I think that's more realistic within our budget, because there is no tangible benefit here in Porter Ranch. This actually benefits us. By supporting Congress of Neighborhoods, it's benefiting, Voss and Gabriel and myself and David, who go to those meetings and enjoy those. Stakeholders can go, but very few stakeholders actually go to this. It's mostly neighborhood council people. So keep in mind, we are basically funding ourselves. When we're funding this, we're funding ourselves. And I do agree that we need to invest in our own knowledge, our own training. So I do support this, but I think it should be more in like the 250 to 500 range. Thank you.
Okay, because I remember we are participating in this one since 2005, and we had such a communication with the community. We used to take bus loads just to attend this Congress on one day. I still remember, Becky remember, other members remember. We used to take the bus load of the community people. They were so much interested. And at that time, we were given $500 to them. So I do not know what, because I had not been there for some time. So I do not know how much the campaign was, how the community was informed. So like, I mean, and the expenses are so high now these days.
That was
even if
my
it is-
question.
Yeah.
Actually, my question, Voss, was about the budget, because usually when an NPG is presented, it says how much the event will cost. It says how much they've gotten from other people, how much they need, and it has like a total breakdown, because right now we don't know how much the event costs. We don't know, how much they need to put it on. And so we don't know what their expenses are. And like the question from David and David were about where is the expenses? And I think you were saying like to record, do recordings. And I understand there's certain expenses, but we don't have that out in front of us. We don't really know what we're funding. We know we're funding this event, but we don't know what the costs are for the Congress. That's important to know. Like for me, as handling the financials, it's important to know like why they need our funding, to not just throw money at something. Maybe they don't need the funding. Maybe the event's already paid for. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like how much money have they already gotten for the event?
Yeah,
That's my question.
Yeah, as I said, it is still under preparation. Negotiations are going on, preparations are going on. Maybe Glenn can have give us more information on that one, and he can answer this question also.
Yeah, yes, David Balin.
Boss keeps on alluding that they're still in preparation. So I'm kind of right there with Jason at the 250, or maybe Voss would like to consider tabling this until they have a final number of what they're looking at and what they're really going to try to accomplish. Because like we all know, this particular meeting is being recorded. There's no cost. This is going straight to the cloud. Well, I shouldn't say that, because the Dunn is paying for the usage of this meeting. So, but it goes to the cloud, and it's all part of it. But I would probably, once again, agree with Jason at the 250. But then if Voss wants to hold off and table this until he has a better understanding of where we're going with this, I would be in favor of that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Becky?
I don't think it's an NPG. I think it's just a transfer of funds. Is that correct, Jason?
It is not a NPG.
We don't need an NPG. We just transfer the funds, right? That's it. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Well, usually when we give money to some kind of entity, the NPG form provides answers to questions. And the questions are like, how will this benefit the community? How much does this event cost? And so that's kind of where the lack of, those questions really makes it difficult to understand exactly, what is the money going towards?
I understand that part, Jason. I totally get that, but I'm just saying it can be either or. It's a good idea to do an NPG, but it doesn't have to be. That's all I'm saying. I know the good and the bad of that, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Before I open it up to the attendees, Voss, do you want to table this motion, or do you want to reduce the amount? And I'll go to the attendees.
Could I speak first before you do decide anything?
Sure, Glenn.
Okay, so what I was going to say now is totally changed. So first of all, this is not an NPG. Neighborhood purpose grants are for nonprofits and for LAUSD schools, period. This is an outreach expense. It will come out of your outreach category in your budget. That's number one. Number two, the method by which you accomplish this, you've already done the first step, which is put on your agenda. A board action certification will be filled out for the vote. And then there's a one-page simple form that's on the city clerk's website that is completed by and signed by the president or vice president in lieu of the president, which just basically indicates, and it's the same form whether it's Congress, Budget Advocates, or for Empower LA Awards. And you just basically say, this is what we've done, for how much, this is our vote, very simple form. That is the document that's submitted with the BAC in order to accomplish it, and that's been the practice for the last number of years. I didn't go back and research when the last time Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council had contributed money, but let me talk about the future, not the past. Number one, it's true this year with a virtual Congress that the expenses will be less than usual, substantially less. I don't know the exact number. It'll probably be less than $10,000. Yeah, we'll have to have additional Zoom licenses. We're gonna have 30 different workshops. We'll use as many of those existing Zoom licenses that we can get from Dunn, but we do have to pay for interpretation for the folks that need interpretation for different languages. I don't have all of the expenses, but that's not the major point. The major point is that an in-person Congress, because we have to basically rent City Hall because we're paying for LAPD officers for security, we are paying for breakfast, we're paying for lunch, we're paying for the rooms, the audio sounds plus interpreters, a printed program, the little lapel pins. I mean, just the whole thing. That's about $50,000 for an event. Now that may seem like an awful lot of money. It is, but it's substantially down from the earlier years where the event used to be held at one time. It was held at the Bonaventure Hotel. One time it was held at the Convention Center. I mean, it cost like a couple $100,000. That was back when the city was flush. So when, after the 2009 downturn, they canceled the Congress, and it was the neighbored councils that said, we want a Congress. We're going to step up to the plate, and we're going to contribute money in order to put on a Congress. And that's been happening for over 10 years now. And the exception is that the Dunn has been contributing for most of those years $10,000 annually. But they after, from the last year with COVID-19, and also this year, they are not contributing that $10,000 to the fund. So the issue is, do we have enough money for this year's Congress? Yes, we do, but that's not the main issue. The main issue is our fund was very, very nearly depleted, and in order to be able to start up to do an in-person Congress, we need to build up that fund between now and next year, so that we can then do what we need to do. Now, you can say, well, we'll wait till next year to contribute money. Well, first of all, I think you're intending to contribute some amount, and the actual amount is totally up to you. But I just want you to know that we're asking neighbor councils to help us build up the funds, so not only are we paying for this year's expenses, but also so that we're ready to go for an in-person event next year. Now, the amount of money, there's one neighborhood council that gave $100. There's another neighborhood council not too far away, North Hills West, that gave $3,000. Northridge East gave $2,000. It's really up to you and what you wish to do. If every neighborhood council gave $500 every year, we would meet our $50,000 goal, because the fund that this money goes into, the city fund, it allows $100,000 to be in that fund. And the fund is not like neighborhood councils. It doesn't go away at the end of the fiscal year. The money stays in there year after year. So it could be, your money, whatever amount you give, it may not be spent this year. It may not be spent next year, although it probably will be. And it will just stay until it's spent for the event. And yes, this is mostly for neighborhood council board members, but I can tell you, looking at the statistical analysis from 2019, that the people who attended, neighborhood council board members, were actually probably about 50%. There are a lot of people who are former board members, stakeholders, people involved in different issues and causes who went down. I'm talking about in 2019, when we had 1,000 registrations for the event. So it's up to you. It's your board's discretion as to how much you contribute. Just know it's coming from outreach. There's no NPG. Doesn't affect that line item at all. And I think I've covered what I want to, and I'm sorry if I went long, but there were a number of issues that were raised that I wanted to make sure you had the information. And for those of you who are new to the board, this is a great opportunity, and I know it's virtual this year, but right now they're working on 30 different workshops through 4 different time frames. So you'd be able to attend 4. It will all be recorded. So even if you don't get to, if there's other workshops that you want to view, you just won't be able to participate and ask questions and that sort of thing. So, you know, that is one advantage of the virtual, is having that all easily available, as opposed to when we're in person, we have to run around to each of the meeting rooms and make up unique recording situations. So anyway, I hope that helps. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Glenn. I see
I'm sorry.
Jason.
Sorry. One thing I've meant, the amount of money you give, they do, I think Voss did allude to the funding levels, that there's different benefits based on the level. And so a higher level includes a half page or quarter page ad put in by your neighborhood council of whatever you want to say into the virtual program, and also on the also related to the website, and also acknowledgement. So there is some outreach that goes on, you know, for months and months, and probably will stay on for another year, that does, you know, include your neighborhood council list name on the list with the other neighborhood councils that have contributed. And there are some other benefits. I don't have the list right in front of me, but that's the main thing: website presence, an ad, and the size of the ad is greater depending on which level your contribution is, just so you know that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn. I see David Balin and Jason Hector have questions. David, go ahead. Can't hear you, David.
Glenn, do you know how much money we have in the account at this time?
Yes and no. So first of all, don't quote me.
No, it's okay. I just I want to know a round number, maybe.
Okay. So what I can tell you is the account started at 10,000, was a 10,000 balance. However, because the city is slow in billing things, there's actually several $1,000s of bills from prior years that they still had to pay out of that. Not that amount, but, you know, several thousands. And then neighborhood council contributions, that number I do know, is $17,100 was the amount contributed by the close of this past fiscal year. So you add 17,100 of the contributions, plus whatever is remaining of that 10,000 after they pay some of those, you know, bills. My best guesstimate is probably maybe about $25,000 in the account, and then we'll need to subtract whatever the costs are for this year, which I expect will be, you know, less than 10,000, and that'll leave us with the amount that we will end up with to start off for next year. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Jason?
I'm okay. Did he say, he said 17,000 plus another 10,000, so they run roughly 27,000? Did I hear it right? It's kind of breaking.
25,000, Jason.
Roughly, okay.
Thank you. We have a comment or a question from an attendee, Saul. Come on in.
Hi, it's Judith.
Hey, Judith, how are you?
Glenn is a hard act to follow, and made most of the comments I was going to say. I do want to mention in connection with what David Lasher said, a reminder that neighborhood councils are part of the city family when it's convenient for the city, and otherwise neighborhood councils are the bastard stepchild, and the city doesn't want to acknowledge that neighborhood councils exist. So the city does not pay for the Congress and doesn't pay for basically anything related to holding the Congress every year, unfortunately. That being said, I have a feeling, because you have so many new board members, congratulations to all, that they may be sitting there listening to this saying, Congress? What's that all about? And Glenn made this comment, but I just wanted to emphasize that this could be a great opportunity, especially for the new board members, to learn a lot about the city and about the neighborhood council system. There are workshops that are basic, and there are workshops that are more advanced that explain about the different departments and tips about outreach and about elections and about leadership, how to run a meeting, about being politically active. there's a whole slew of potential learning opportunities, and I hope that that especially the new board members will either get information from Dunn or from your new president about what the Congress is, so that you can put that on your calendar to be able to attend, so that you have an opportunity to get some education that is basically not available anywhere else. Thanks.
Thank you, Drew. I don't see any other raised hands. Voss, it's in your court. What would you like to do? We can't hear you.
I would still like to do that. As Glenn has said, this is money for building up the fund for the future congresses as well. So I think it is our duty that when there is less expense because of the pandemic, we can save for the future also. And since it is going to benefit all the stakeholders of the city and the board members and everyone, I still think that 1,000 is a reasonable amount, but I leave up to the board.
Would you like to lower that amount? Yes, David.
So I agree with Voss, but once again, I don't see the benefit for stakeholders. And this is city money and we're supposed to be utilizing it for stakeholders. But I would once again would hope that the board would think about doing something between $250 to $500, since it's not benefiting the community.
Yes, Becky.
I think it's really important, especially this year with COVID and with all of the civil unrest. I think that this Congress is really important to bring the city together, not just Porter Ranch, because the way the city goes, the way Porter Ranch goes. And I think especially this year that we need to do things that unify our city. And I think that if, for those of you who have not been, it's just a great educational experience and you meet people from every neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles. And I think it's really important that we do it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Voss, would you consider lowering the amount or you're going to make the most of the full amount?
Yeah, considering the views of the board members and respect to them, I will lower it to $500.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Jason? Okay.
I was going to second it too. Thank you, Voss.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Jason.
appreciate that, Voss. And, you know, it's important that we bridge the compromise. And I think, you know, we can always bring it back. And they do have money for right now. I do support it. We haven't supported them in the past, so I think it's a good gesture. But I appreciate that 500 motion and I do support it.
Thank you, everyone.
I appreciate, and I just want to let you know, I believe in teamwork and I need to take all the board members with us. So I'm happy and glad that everyone is supporting this cause. So thank you so very much, everyone.
Thank you. Jason, you want to call it?
Okay. Motion to approve $500 for the Congress of Neighborhoods.
Correct. Your boss was first, you're second. Let's call the vote.
Okay. David Balin,
Yes.
Christine Demercian,
Yes.
Jen Ibrahim,
Can't
You
vote.
can't vote. It's a funny matter.
ineligible. Jason, yes. Miran, still absent. Gabriel,
Yes.
David Lasher,
Yes.
Becky Levesque,
Yes.
Luis Ramirez, absent. Voss Singh.
Yes.
See, we did it. We compromised. Good job, everybody. Our
Thank you
first
so
unanimous vote of the year.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
I think now we're done officially. I just want to say thank you. Congratulations to all the new board members that got on. And thank you for making me president. And hopefully we move on united and make the best for Porter Ranch.
One last comment, Gabriel. You know, the motion that I had, number 14, for the dead wood removal, that's kind of something from last fiscal year. When are you planning on having the next meeting approximately, like in?
We have a meeting set for August, but let me assess everything with David, see what's left, what we have to, motions, minutes, etc. Might call a special meeting if we have to, or put everything for August.
Just because the thing is, you know, I've been working with the councilman's office on this, and I've gotten matching funds with them, and they're gonna contribute 7,200. But you know, if we stall on that, we might lose out, and we got the fire season coming up. So,
gotcha.
You know, I'll leave it up to the board. I'm open to tabling it, but I'm also thinking about all the work that we've done up until this point, and you know, whether we should go into it or not. I mean, I don't want to drag my feet and lose out on the matching funds and getting the project done. So those are my comments.
We can, worst scenario, as I said, we can call a special meeting because we do have a lot of items pending still. I see Becky and David Lasher raising their hands.
Yep. Just very quickly, just to make sure that everybody gets their training so that they can vote and that they're up to date on the training. I know that you read the list, but when we bring, because this tree issue is a very important issue. So just make sure everybody has their funding in order. Thank you.
Thank you. David Lasher.
Hi, Gabe. Even more important than trees is the COVID issue. I just wanted to say one thing for our COVID report is this one point. Every single person hospitalized in the last 10 to 14 days because of COVID was unvaccinated. And that's remarkable. That statistic was released earlier today. And that's all I had for that report, but that's critical.
Thank you, David Lasher.
Sir.
So let's adjourn the meeting right now. The time is 9:32. I will stay in touch with the board. I'm gonna set up the board emails. I'll stay in touch with the board to see if we can call a special meeting, a short one, just to pass a few items, and we can move forward from there.
I second the adjournment motion.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Welcome, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Absolutely,
everyone.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.